Good morning. Welcome in. Happy hump day. This is the Buck Rising Show the way we like it. With no Buck Rising. Lucas Panzica with you. Robert and I here until 1 o'clock. Titans and Falcons are going at it. Day 2 of joint practice down in Flowery Branch ahead of Friday's preseason Week 2 matchup. A 6 p.m. Central Time kickoff that, of course, you can hear on the Titans radio network, including right here on The Zone with Taylor Zarzour and Coach Dave McGinnis. Tough day for the Titans yesterday. Somewhat of a bounce back, it would seem, but also feels like a little less work is being done with some of the skirmishes breaking out across Titans practice. We'll relay everything that is coming down from Titans media that is present at joint practice. Again, not a whole lot by way of video, a 90-second policy for digital video per day per media member. So we won't see much video of it, but we're getting description of it. 615-737-1045 is how you jump in. The F&M Bank chat is open for business on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch. 1045 The Zone TV. Good morning, Bert.
Good morning. I think I have a way around this 90-second minimum. Okay. I think, I don't know about you, but when I listen to podcasts, I already speed them up to 1.3 times.
I sometimes fringe upon 1.5.
Oh, wow.
Depending on the podcast.
Fast listener. What I would do is I think we all need to adopt being fast watchers. I think all of these highlights, put them in 3 times speed. All of these scrum videos, I want Big Jeff to sound like a chipmunk. Yeah, practice was really great today. Just speed them up. If we really need it, I will slow it back down on my side because we got the technology over here. I'll slow it down for everybody else. But that way, we can post whatever we want. So if you're listening, NFL, I'm onto your games. I'm onto this snide you're on of, you guys can only have 90 seconds to post. We're going to fix that. We're going to fix that when I times everything by 5 times speed and Calvin Ridley looks like he's blazing a 40 down the field.
Which it seems like he did over A.J. Terrell, his former Falcons teammate, a deep ball touchdown from Cam Ward to Calvin Ridley, according to multiple reports down there. First Titans offensive touchdown in team drills in joint practice. Of course, they were on the field with the Falcons yesterday. Didn't fare so well, especially on the defensive side of the ball. Sounded like there were struggles. But I like where your head's at. Also, maybe an alternative of 91-second videos all in one.
Ooh,
what do we think about that?
I love that. I absolutely love that. Here, let me pull some quotes from yesterday and see if I can give you an example of what it would sound like under the new media rules.
Perfect. We'll work on that. Buck will join the show later on. I think he actually made it to practice on time and didn't waste our time and the company's money today the way he did yesterday. So Buck will be here in the noon hour, and we'll hear some news and notes from practice. Charles Davis coming up at 10:20. Of course, you are watching him throughout the course of the Titans preseason as the analyst alongside play-by-play Paul Burmeister on the WKRN Channel 2 telecasts of the Titans preseason. Looking forward to catching up with Charles, getting some of his thoughts on just spending some time around this football team. The 2025 Titans, as he did yet last year. This isn't Charles's first experience around Brian Callahan. It is around Cam Ward in a professional setting. So looking forward to seeing some of his thoughts on that. So again, 615-737-1045, the number for you to jump in. We are fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken. We're going to continue to bring as many updates as we can from joint practice. But like I said, really the 2 or 3 of the main things that we've seen so far. Seems like the competitiveness is a little bit amped up today by way of some, I don't want to say brawls. That sounds a little bit extreme, but a couple of times things have been halted due to pushing and shoving and players having to be pulled apart. On 2 different occasions, the Falcons offense versus the Titans defense has resulted in a joint practice fight. Famiola Dejo in the mix there, Jarvis Brownlee being pulled away. No huge surprise there. But like I said, the Titans scoring a deep ball touchdown to Calvin Ridley. Interestingly, on defense, Cedric Gray getting some run with the ones at linebacker. We talked yesterday about that position battle, how it was wide open heading into camp next to Cody Barton. James Williams had been getting pretty much all of the reps with the ones alongside the veteran Barton. It looked like James Williams was in the driver's seat. Both, I think, played okay on Friday night. The defense wasn't necessarily coming away with glowing reviews, but I think Cedric Gray showed some good things Friday night in Tampa, and he's earned himself some reps with the ones. So maybe our powder was a little bit wet on crowning James Williams as the starter next to Cody Barton. however you shake it out, Cedric Gray is going to play a lot of football for the Titans this year. Tori McElhaney, who works for the Falcons, former Falcons beat writer for The Athletic, now the senior reporter for the Falcons, tweeted 3 minutes ago, major scuffle breaking out with Falcons first-team offense and Titans first-team defense. Lots of guys taken to the ground. Drake London's helmet was ripped off. MPJ in the middle, too. Robert, help me out. Who is it? Oh, Michael Penix. Michael Penix, that's not a good.
There you go.
You don't want that.
Help me out here. Miles per hour? What are we looking for?
MPJ, Michael Penix Jr. in the middle of this scuffle. Took a lot to get the two teams apart, and it carried over to the next play as well. It is still heated as the second team is in. So some juice. Titans clearly are looking for a bounce back today. Here's another skirmish, Terry McCormick tweeting during a special teams drill. So it feels like it's on pace to just call practice off early. We'll see what happens.
Yes, we're getting an update from Tehran. There seems to be a brouhaha around the water cooler or something happening over there.
Oh, the water boys are in a full-fledged fist fight. This is spilling over all of.
I actually would love that. What if we got a coach-on-coach fight? Like, what coaching staff would be? I'm going to pick Dan Campbell's coaching staff. I assume all of them are ass kickers.
Well, I wonder at what point there's some frustration from both coaching staffs of just, you love the competitiveness. Again, this is where we have a hard time drawing the line. Is a practice low energy because they're not fighting? But then when they are fighting, we're talking about them not getting enough work in. It feels like a lose-lose a lot of times. We'll see if practice does continue on as scheduled. Cam Ward and right on cue, Buck tweeting, no Prochet, Van Jefferson and Quincy Skinner pushing and shoving during a punt return. No lack of energy today. I feel like there is no in between. Either the practice lacks juice, lacks energy, or they're wasting time because they're fighting. Anyway, we'll talk about it with him later on in the show. Yesterday, we know wasn't a good day for the Titans, especially defensively. Offense, too, dealt with some interceptions, some batted balls at the line of scrimmage. And joint practice can be up and down. Like I said, there could be a great response today. Seems like there has been some level of response today, some level of competitive fire from the Titans to bounce back from a tough start to practice that it felt like they were never able to dig out of that hole. But there is a reality where yesterday kind of shined a light on some of the inconvenient truths about this roster, right? That we already knew, but maybe Titans fans didn't want to see or at least talk about at the start of camp, which I don't fault anybody for, right? Nobody wants to start training camp talking about the deficiencies and the weaknesses. When training camp starts, it means football is back. It means the regular season's right around the corner. You're organically, as a fan, picturing best case scenario in your head, right? There's excitement because you have a rookie quarterback. But then as you kind of get into the dog days of camp, some of those weaknesses start to get revealed. And I feel like yesterday, Bert, was the first shining example of that. Because even Buck's joint practice last week, it was mostly positive. It was a very competitively balanced joint practice by all accounts. Cam Ward did some good things, bounced back from an early mistake, had a lot of success in red zone. Defense wasn't perfect, but overall, a competitive practice. Yesterday felt like the first time in one of these joint practices that the Titans just had a flat-out bad day. I mean, the offense has had some issues going up against its own defense. We, documented plenty. The Brian Callahan blow-up a couple weeks ago on a Sunday. But early training camp is a time for optimism. As we start to progress through training camp, maybe we start to learn more or confirm more of the things that we feel like we already knew about the honest state of this Titans roster.
Yeah, I'm interested for Buck to join us with his practice thoughts and observations, because I wonder how he would compare this to the Seattle joint camp last year, where like Seattle was the litmus test, and it was very apparent that they were not up to snuff. Like, would you compare the last 2 weeks or just this Atlanta camp to that experience, or do you think the Titans are in a better place than they were last year with Levis starting in his second year? So just the comparison that we would never be able to know without being down there. So I'm glad that we're at least allowed the benefit of that with Buck going down there. I'm glad he hasn't been bombarding our group text with Magic City pictures or anywhere else you would go in Atlanta.
Well, again, any deficiencies that get quote-unquote revealed in training camp, it's not like it's anything we didn't know. On Friday against the Bucs, Titans backup defensive linemen struggled to stop the run with no Jeffrey Simmons, no Tavondre Sweat. We knew defensive line depth was a concern. Titans were not able to affect the quarterback. We know we've talked ad nauseum about the Titans' kind of lack of juice in the pass rush. The Titans being near the bottom of the league when it comes to their level of personnel coming off the edge. We knew all of these things. The beauty of this season is not the Titans looking for an opportunity to win the AFC South. Of course, they're going to try to win every game. We'll see how competitive they can be. But for me, the beauty of 2025 for the Titans is the opportunity to show off some of the building blocks for this long-term rebuild that you're setting out on. And the Titans have been honest about that. We heard Chad Brinker and Mike Borgonzi talk about that before the start of camp. On report day, Chad Brinker said, he acknowledged, there's not a lot of stars on this football team. That's their job to build out this roster. This season, we get to see what kind of building blocks they really have along the offensive line with J.C. Latham and Peter Skoronski. Obviously at the quarterback position with Cam Ward. With this young wide receiver group outside of Calvin Ridley and what you can get out of Alec Ayumanor and Chimere Dike to kind of map out just how much more work you have to do at that position. So, because of that, I feel like Titans fans get a little bit caught up in the optimism of training camp is back, and this quarterback seems like he kind of has that it factor and the disposition that you want in a franchise quarterback, and then they have a bad practice against against the Falcons, and there's this slow realization of, okay, there's a reality where kind of brings you back to the reality that you were in for most of the offseason, that this team in all likelihood is not going to be highly competitive in 2025. And that's okay because we knew that. But I feel like yesterday's practice kind of just shone a light on it a little bit that maybe we didn't have as much early on in camp. That might just be me. By the way, some of this stuff is also intentional from the Titans coaching staff. They've been on the road for a week. That's not this great burden, right? Like their accommodations are fine, but it is something that players have talked about and have been asked about. And Brian Callahan spoke before practice today, and he was asked about the intentionality of this road trip. They left to go to Tampa exactly 1 week ago, last Wednesday after practice. They left to go to Tampa. They've been on the road since then, went straight to Atlanta. And Brian Callahan was asked about the intentionality of setting up that situation to prepare them for the rigors of the regular season.
No, I think we're getting everything that I want out of this road trip, and I think that's part of it. There's a little bit of the adversity factor that you're trying to get comfortable with, and you're trying to get comfortable being uncomfortable. And there's going to be times in the season where you're going to look back and the feeling's going to feel familiar. And that's the idea, is to make it challenging and make it hard. Not being in our normal surroundings, not being in our own beds, all of those things is part of the process of it. And I think that part's been great. There's been some things that we got to clean up from an execution standpoint in practice. I don't necessarily attribute the practice to that, but yeah, our guys tired? Yeah, of course. And that's the idea. It's training camp. It's supposed to be hard. And I think that's the idea of the whole trip, is that's a key component of it, is we're going to go through some hard stuff. And so that's what we're doing it now. And then you have a chance to draw upon some of these experiences as you go through hard things during the season, because inevitably every season, no matter how good your football team is, you go through challenges and you're going to go through hardships and you're going to have things that you have to overcome. And the more you can put yourself in those positions, the better off I think you're going to be in the long run. So it's all a part of the process to me when it comes to being on the road and feeling like it's not, everything's not, hunky-dory and we're all having a good time. Like, it's supposed to be hard.
That's Brian Callahan meeting with Titans media before practice today. So tough day yesterday, and they're looking to quite literally fight their way back today.
And this is me playing Monopoly with my friends.
We're all having a good time. Like, it's supposed to be hard.
Let's finish the game, guys. Come on. It's been 3 days.
When's the last time you played Monopoly?
Like 4 weeks ago, dude. I'm a board game aficionado. If there is a time where I don't have none of my friends are on the game and Cheyenne and me are home, we are playing a board game.
It just takes so long sometimes.
Not with two people. Not
That's
when
true.
you can frustrate your significant other enough to just give up and then you can claim victory.
Well, I don't know how good Charles Davis is at Monopoly, but he's good at calling a game, and we've had him on the call with Channel 2's coverage of the Titans preseason. He's been up close and personal with this team throughout the course of training camp, and we'll talk to Charles Davis next at 104.5 The Zone. Joint practice between Titans and Falcons seems like it's nearing its end, a chippy one, as the Titans try to bounce back from a tough day one. Preseason matchup coming on Friday. Charles Davis set to join us in a minute. You'll see him on the TV call alongside Paul Burmeister, with Corey Curtis on the sideline on WKRN Channel 2 throughout the course of the Titans preseason. A lot to talk about with Charles when it comes to obviously what we've seen from Cam Ward, his impressions of being around Cam, being around Brian Callahan's opinion on Cam Ward. We played for you the clip of Charles and Brad Hopkins on SiriusXM a couple weeks ago, chatting with Brian Callahan about some of the overlap that he sees from a mentality standpoint, a preparation standpoint with Cam Ward compared to Joe Burrow. It's a very careful thing to throw out there, that sort of comparison. But we'll talk to Charles about that, some of the various position battles happening throughout this roster as we come up on week 2 of the preseason.
Well, while we're waiting on Charles, we talked about in the first session how the NFL, at least Atlanta's NFL media camp, is only allowing 90 seconds of recorded video, which includes post-practice scrums, includes press conferences, includes one-on-ones, the whole shebang. You can only post 90 seconds a day. Well, there was a Jeffrey Simmons interview yesterday that was a minute 30. So there's the entire amount that could be posted. So here's a 10-second clip from that Jeffrey Simmons interview, so you can just get a taste of what it sounded like originally.
First play of the practice, they did I'm sure that they just put that run in for me. Well, I never saw that play a day in my life, especially as a 3 technique.
So he's talking about the wham block that Brian Callahan actually alluded to in his press conference this morning. So this is Jeff sped up for full optimization, so that we can maximize how many seconds of video we're playing.
First play of the practice, they did I'm sure that they just put that run in for me. I never saw that play a day in my life, especially as a 3 technique.
Save 3 seconds.
I heard no difference.
Yep. I mean, it sounds the same to me. I think Jeff would be a little more terrifying if he talked like that. Like, imagine lining up from him and you just hear like, hey, man, what is that?
It would be far scarier.
But eager to see how Titans fans react to the new way content's going to be done in super fast forward because of the 90-second maximum that is being implemented this week.
We'll see just how much that ripples across NFL markets from a media standpoint. 615-737-1045 is how you jump in the meantime. Here's a tweet from Joe Patrick, Atlanta Falcons reporter for 92.9 The Game down in Atlanta. He says, tweeting at 10:12, about 12 minutes ago, Cam Ward has been much better today from my eye, taking more that's there underneath, but still connecting or coming close on some deep shots. So on aggregate, I think it's safe to say, obviously not being down there and not getting any real perspective in person, that today's a better day for the Tennessee Titans. And Buck will give us more on it later on in the show. But that's what you want to see, right? And Brian Callahan mentioned, in fact, can we hear from Brian Callahan, Robert, on who he plans to play on Friday's preseason game, how joint practices could impact that, and what that means for Cam Ward?
Everybody's going to play, probably similar to last week. My same guys probably out. Simmons and Zeiler will probably sit, but other than that, most guys should be good to go. I may revisit that after today and see where we're at and all that, but I plan on those guys playing pretty similar to last week.
Yeah, and to that end, how much for Cam? How much game action for him?
Probably about 2 series. I think because he played two series last week, and like to kind of continue that. I think just the game, being in the stadium and the game reps, I think is important. Whether or not we're playing against starters or it doesn't really matter. It's more just to be in the stadium, on the field by himself, hearing the calls, managing the clock, all those things. Just the more experience of that he gets, the better. And so as long as those starters are in there, he'll be in there. So again, probably about 2 series.
So that's what we're going to see from Cam Ward in all likelihood on Friday, a couple of series. That discussion of starters playing in the preseason, I feel like just a couple of years ago, we were having that discussion with the Titans surrounding Ryan Tannehill and that sort of Mike Vrabel version of the Titans. It felt like that was an annual debate. How much should they play in the preseason? How much should Derrick Henry play in the preseason? How much should a guy like Ben Jones, who just consistently battled through injury after injury in his career, playing through it? Availability never an issue with Ben Jones because of that sort of mentality. How much should a guy like that play in the preseason? And I think I brought this up the other week, Robert, but doesn't it kind of feel like the league has kind of come around to a place where it feels like it is more the norm that starters are playing in the preseason? Even the franchises that have generally not scoffed at that idea, but looked away from that idea and sat Joe Burrow in the case of Cincinnati and Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, and then gotten off to these slow starts that they've gotten off to in the Zach Taylor era. Now those players are playing in the preseason, and it just feels like the starting quarterback not being out there is more the exception than the norm. Well, maybe that wasn't the case a couple years ago. I might be looking a little bit too much into that. But Charles Davis joins us now as we watch him throughout the course of the Titans preseason on the WKRN broadcast alongside Paul Burmeister. Plenty of perspective on position battles happening up and down the Titans roster that will continue on into week 3. Once Charles is ready, we'll bring him in here. It was great catching up with Coach Doug Matthews, who is in the building today, getting some work done. And he was sitting in the production room with Robert and I, telling stories about recruiting Charles Davis to Tennessee. Charles, I don't know how what the last time is that you and Coach Matthews went down that memory lane, but it was fun hearing some of that stuff that I hadn't heard before about a kid out of New York coming to Tennessee to play quarterback initially.
Hey, Lucas, how you doing? I didn't catch your first part. My apologies for that. So if you give me the first part, maybe I can fill in the blank.
Well, it's great to have you. Appreciate the time. Great to watch you throughout the course of Titans preseason.
Technology, we don't get along.
Hey, it's all good. It's all good. We were chatting with Coach Doug Matthews just next door before the show, Charles. He's in the building today telling some stories about recruiting a kid out of New York to come play quarterback at Tennessee. I don't know the last time you guys were able to catch up on that topic.
I'm sure he was grinning when he mentioned the word quarterback because there were 8 quarterbacks in my recruiting class, and out of the 8, 1 stayed at quarterback ultimately, 1 transferred out. I guess there's really 9 if we count Sam Aiello, a JUCO kid. That would have been 2 out. And then the rest of us played. Joey Klingscales was a wide receiver. My roommate Tyrone Robinson became an outside linebacker. And then the rest of us became defensive backs. Tommy Sims, Terry Brown, myself. Yeah, so I don't know if that math totally adds up, but somewhere in that neighborhood, yeah, a lot of DBs, a receiver, an outside linebacker, and Tony Robinson stayed at quarterback. Thank goodness.
Well, I'd say things worked out pretty good for you in that regard as well. Tony Robinson, too. Not too shabby. So always good to have you back on the call for these Titans preseason matchups. And obviously it's a different tenor, Charles, in 2025 than it was for you and Paul Burmeister in 2024, with the Titans just at least publicly being so much more vocal about this long-term rebuild and the building block that is Cam Ward. What have been your impressions of the overall strategy that the Titans are deploying this season compared to last season, with Ward kind of being the one at the helm of it?
Yeah, Lucas, I think you kind of really hit it pretty well in terms of, I don't think that management was telling us anything that wasn't true last year. Rand Carthon is the GM and the rest of the crew. But I think there was a sense that the roster was better last year than people outside of it thought. They kind of had that proverbial chip on their shoulder. I had that mentioned to me by people inside the building a couple of times. Like, they just don't understand. We're a lot better than what people think. And as it turned out, no, they weren't. And so this year, when you hear Chad Brinker, the president of football ops, you hear Mike Bergonzi, the brand new general manager. I say brand new, the new general manager, Brian Callahan. Everyone wants to win games. No one is taking that mission and setting it to the side. But they're also taking a much more realistic approach. They want to draft, they want to develop, right? They want to make sure what they're doing in free agency has true meaning to it. I just did a show this morning talking about the league as a whole and talking about Buffalo just signing James Cook, their running back. And their general manager, Brandon Beane, in his presser mentioned, this is what we do here in Buffalo. We draft, we develop, we re-sign. Well, meaning, if that guy pans out and he's good, you re-sign him. If he's not, you have to let him go and move on. But the idea is draft the right guy, develop him, coach him up really well, and then re-sign him when the time comes. They did that with James Cook. I haven't heard the re-sign message with Tennessee, but I think it's probably in there. It's inherent that if you draft, develop them well, everything's good, you'll want to re-sign that player if at all possible.
Charles Davis, our guest. You can catch him on the Titans preseason telecast on WKRN Channel 2 here locally. And that obviously begins and ends with the quarterback, right, Charles? Cam Ward, as he's kind of settled in, we've seen, I feel like everything you would expect to see from a number one overall pick at that position. We've seen the flashes. We've seen the mentality that I think made the Titans fall in love with him. And we've seen the growing pains and some of the rookie moments that just happened yesterday at joint practice with the Falcons. Overall, getting a chance to kind of be around him, what have your impressions been of Cam Ward as he just gets his feet under him in his first NFL training camp?
I'll just use a phrase that's probably way overused, but I feel like he's built for it, meaning right makeup, right constitution, has fought the right battles coming up, getting to this point, eager for the challenges coming forward, understanding there will be some ups and downs, but not planning to have too many downs and a lot more ups, but having a little more equilibrium to deal with the downs as you go along and try and get there. I've said this and I continue to stand by it. Look, his story is pretty well documented if you're a Titans fan, right? It's not hard to find. Okay, 0-star recruit, incarnate word, Washington State, Miami. I don't say it to be ponderous, Lucas. I just say it like if I'm a Titans fan, I know all of this. But what comes with that story is the overarching, wow, this guy's overcome things at every turn, right? He has beat the odds at every turn. He has exceeded his ranking. You see where I'm going with this? What I don't think that we say enough of is there's plenty of success along the way, too. It wasn't just the world was against him. Yes, a 0-star recruit, you throw it 6 times, okay, you end up an incarnate word and you're better than that. But he had the success at Incarnate Word. He beat out an incumbent quarterback who was all league in a short amount of time and took the job from him, even though the kid still played well. He was just better. He goes to Washington State. Then the Washington State guy who took him there as the offensive coordinator leaves. He stays. People had to find out that, hey, it wasn't just the offense. It wasn't just the system. Success. He has a chance to go to the pros. Decides to go back to school. NIL's a great help, isn't it? Great move. Goes back to school. Lights it up from Miami. Solidifies his opportunity to be the number 1 draft pick. So yes, a lot of the fates have conspired against him. But at the same time, for him to be in the position he's in, there was success. Plenty of success along the way. It isn't just a matter of proving everyone else wrong. He was a good quarterback. People just had to discover it and then give him points for jumping over the hurdle each and every time he had to.
And here he is trying to take another step in week 2, leading up to his rookie season. 2 drives, 8 attempts last week, completed 567 yards. We know the stat line, Charles. Is there anything situationally that in a perfect world we would get to see from Cam Ward in Atlanta on Friday night that maybe we didn't get to see in Tampa?
Yeah, you'd like to see longer drive, to get things started. That's one thing. You'd like to see him in a 2-minute drill, things of that nature. Now, that all depends on how long you want to play him, how long you want to go. Do you trot him back out there for a 2-minute drill at the end of the half after maybe he's been out of the game? I don't know if Brian Kelly's going to do that. He'll probably do more of that in practice. And that's why you've had 2 days of joint practices. I'm sure they've done a lot of things situationally. What I was impressed with was just basic demeanor. Like, stats meant nothing to me coming out of that game. It means everything to everyone reading, hearing about, oh my God, our rookie was 0 for 8. We're terrible. No, that was a non-issue. Missed his first 2 throws, hit 5 of his next 6. Okay, goes 5 for 8 for the night. But it was this type of throws. As you saw, Lucas, there were throws that required different arm angle, different touch, different distances, and they all sure looked the part, didn't they? Right? To me, okay, if you were worried about did we get you got a guy who looks like an NFL quarterback, a starting NFL quarterback. Now, how much success is out there remains to be seen. How quickly is Tennessee built around him? How fast is this offensive line that's brand new and they put together, come together? Can Lloyd Cushenberry, who's off of PUP now, be on the field and in good shape and ready to go for the season opener against Denver. You see where I'm going? Who are the receivers behind Calvin Ridley that are truly going to develop? Will it be the rookies? Will Tyler Lockett come along and be a safety net for him? How about the tight ends? Because Chigaquanquo and we think Gunnar Helm sure looks the part in terms of catching passes. How much farther does that go? Does that help? Tajay Spears hurt. We won't see him again until sorry about that. We won't see him again until showtime, but that's okay. Who's that third runner? Because Julius Chestnut sure as heck acted like he wasn't ready to give it up yet the other night. He played really well. And after his first carry, Khalil Mullings ran the football with the authority you want of a 230-pound former linebacker. So all those things come into play. My thing is, in watching Cam Ward, I feel like, yes, they did the right thing, took the quarterback. He's the face of the franchise, going to be. You build around him and see what happens. And when that new stadium opens in 2027, he should be the face that's plastered all over the stadium as the Titans march into a new era in a new stadium.
Charles Davis, our guest, been on the preseason call for the Titans on Channel 2. You mentioned some of those position battles happening there behind Pollard and a healthy Tajay Spears, who we know is dealing with the ankle right now. Defensively, Charles, there's a lot of just roster churn on that depth chart, looking for some D-line depth behind Sweat, Simmons, who did not play last Friday. Is there a battle in particular that you have your eye on, whether it's a position group, one specific spot that you are looking forward to seeing how it develops throughout the back half of training camp, which obviously is kind of that's a huge component of where we're at now in the preseason, right? Those battles that are taking place in the third and fourth quarter when a lot of, fans maybe aren't paying as much attention because the quarterback's not out there anymore.
I'll start with where you were, Lucas, the defensive line. I want to see what the depth is that gets developed, because some teams have enough depth that they just rotate guys. They have a number of guys and they rotate them through. I don't think that's going to be Tennessee's MO. All right. So I think that Jeff Simmons coming back 20 pounds lighter is going to serve him in good stead, because he may have to play more plays this year, right? He may need to be on the field a little bit longer. Sweat being in good shape is paramount. What that is, I'm not sure. All right. The Titans will have to let us know what that part is, right? Sebastian Joseph Day is a pro's pro. Ready to go anytime you blow the whistle, snap the ball, and he's going to give you good play. But the people behind them, can they come in and give you plays without Jannard Wilson's defensive coordinator going, oh, God, how long can I hold on here? What can we do? Because you feel good about your front three. What are you getting after that? The next part is there a pass rusher in the house off the edge? Is there someone who can go get the quarterback, affect the quarterback, do all those things? You like Arden Key. He's going for his third straight year where maybe he gets 6 sacks, right? Because that's kind of the number, okay? Harold Landry's not walking through that door again. That part is gone. You like the rookie Femi Oladejo, but he's learning to pass rush, all right? He was an inside linebacker, switched to the edge. He's got to add things to his arsenal and learn to be that guy. At this moment, I don't think there's anyone that any team plays Tennessee right now is just fearing who's coming off the edge right now. We don't have that. Can someone develop, give them something? Draymond Jones will beat the heck out of you off the edge. If you're a tight end, good luck getting off the line of scrimmage. He'll smack you around and do that. But again, he's not a superior pass rusher by numbers. That's kind of where I'm looking to see if anyone possible develops. And the other part, Lucas, let's just be honest about it. When we get down to the final cut, and I love the fact that you can carry 90 and not cut until it's over. Those old days of the cuts along the way and really horrible last preseason game as you're trying to protect and then you have to play, that's gone. Thank goodness. Consistency. But once they make that cut to 53, the celebration for these people who make the team is great. But I have this feeling that there will be, this is your initial 53, and by the next day, there'll be more changes because the waiver wire will be active out there. And Tennessee, I believe, has got number 2 claim?
Number 1.
Wire? Number 1 claim on the waiver wire. So they can go boom, 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 boom if they're people they like, people they, because they all have files on people, right? They've studied them, they've liked them. You can't draft everyone you like, right? And you may have been in another division, in another place, and you liked another guy at a place, and now he's available. You think he's better than what you have. So the day of celebrating, hey, I made the team, that could be a tough one for some people because I have a feeling that he and Chad Brinker and crew are going to be somewhat active trying to find some veteran guys to shore some things up or to come in and play. We'll see.
We'll see how that continues this Friday at Atlanta. Charles, thanks so much for the time. Looking forward to seeing you, Paul, and Corey for the rest of preseason. Of course, back at it with CBS in the NFL regular season.
Hey, Lucas, appreciate it very much. Tell Buck hi. I believe he's in Atlanta soaking it all up. Wish I was there with him watching the Titans, but I actually had to go to work this week, which is really weird.
Yeah, not like Buck. He's just gallivanting out there, Charles. We think he just likes to go, maybe take a couple pictures, and then go grab a beer or something at a nearby bar and let us do the heavy lifting.
In other words, he's the person we all want to be. Take care.
Charles Davis, appreciate the time, as always. Always good to talk to Charles on 104.5 The Zone again this Friday, alongside Paul Burmeister, Corey Curtis on the sideline for the preseason broadcast of Titans Falcons on WKRN Channel 2. More news and notes on the way from Titans joint practice with the Falcons, plus SEC observations next. The way I hold my breath before I realize that it's not going to be the dungeon imaging every time we do these SEC segments.
You see, I have a flat-out dungeon open, and then I have a pump fake dungeon open where you just hear like the or you hear I think it's the breath that does it.
Oh, yeah.
Like when
and then the thunder cracks, and then I just cringe.
I like watching your face on Zone TV as you realize it is not the Sec Dungeon. And it's just let's talk about Sec. So what you got?
Keeping it light today. By the way, check us out on Zone TV, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch. Be sure to like and subscribe while you're there. Just hit a button. Very easy and free for you.
Less than 700 subscribers away from 17K.
How about that?
Do you remember the 20K promise? When we hit 20K, there will be a video of me doing my best Red Panda impersonation on a unicycle.
If we hit 20K by when?
I think just when we hit 20K.
Oh, just generally. That's beautiful.
It was a terrible negotiation on my part. There should have been a
by the end of the year or something.
Right. I didn't think that through. I didn't think we'd get to 20K.
So after just disparaging Red Panda for so long, Robert Walsh could see just how hard it is. Life in her shoes. If we just get to 20K on YouTube. So all you got to do is go in and hit subscribe, like the video while you're there. Of course, there are more updates coming out of Titans joint practice with the Falcons. Cam Ward just threw an interception. We will get more detail on that. It was in team drills, 11v11. In the next hour, Cam Ward will meet with the media. Buck is going to join us in the noon hour. So we're going to have all of your Titans joint practice coverage in a way that is not just me reading tweets, which is kind of what we've been doing to this point. So want to have it more detailed for you. For the moment, we're going to pivot and talk about national championship contenders in the SEC. Asked that question of Brandon Marcello yesterday of CBS. Across college football, how many teams feasibly could win a national championship? His answer was 9. 9 of the top 10, where typically your national champion is a team that started in the preseason AP poll top 10. As useless and as little meaning as the AP poll typically has, there are certain trends that are followed when it's all said and done at the end of the season. That is absolutely one of them. And I'd lean more 7 or 8, but I don't hate where Marcelo's head was at when you think about every possible scenario for the 2025 season. So how many of those teams are in the SEC? 4 off the top of your head, right? The 4 obvious ones. Georgia, who has one of the best rosters in the country. Can they fix their run game that struggled last year uncharacteristically? Can the wide receivers catch the football? Something that they worked hard in the offseason to address, bringing in Zachariah Branch, the former 5-star, the USC receiver that several schools, including Tennessee, were pining for out of the transfer portal. And obviously, this all hinges on Gunnar Stockton. What will he be as Georgia's starting quarterback? But Georgia, under Kirby Smart, I think you have to say the best case scenario for them coming off a season where they won the SEC title, and it was a disappointing season where they won the SEC title. You have to say best case scenario is absolutely a national championship. Texas has to be the most national title or bust team in all of college football, right? And that's not to say that Sark is in trouble if Texas doesn't ultimately get over that hump. Arch Manning is coming back the following year. Archie has already told us that. My question for Texas, who we know to be one of the best rosters in the country, who rightfully are the preseason number 1 team, shockingly, for the first time in program history, what if Arch Manning is just good? What if Arch Manning is not this 4,000-yard passer, star, Heisman finalist quarterback in 2025? What if he's just good? Good to the level of, let's say, looking back at last season, Quinn Ewers may be slightly better. What's the discourse around Arch Manning going into the next year? Will it be kind of like the Nico discourse was at Tennessee before he left, that, okay, the ceiling was on display, but all right, 2025 is the year to show the leap. That point is moot now. But for Arch, will there be that kind of patience when there's so much more expectation and hope and so much better of a roster around him than what Nico had at Tennessee last year? And I think Tennessee, for much of last season, was a championship contender last year. Texas takes that to another level. That's the obviously big question around Texas, but national title or bust feels like the vibe right now in Austin. And then there's Alabama, who just named Ty Simpson their starting quarterback, an elite roster that offensively will actually be coached by Ryan Grubb the way Kalen DeBoer intended when he initially took the Alabama job. It might be the most hidden, critically important transaction of the college football season. Alabama getting the offensive coordinator that Kalen DeBoer initially hired when he got the job. Ryan Grubb, who was with him at Washington, who took the job and then bolted to go be the OC at Seattle for the Seahawks. That didn't work out. Now Ryan Grubb is where he was intended to be last year, and that's in Tuscaloosa. And can Alabama scrub out those transitional moments that they had last year, going from Nick Saban to Kalen DeBoer? Because there were moments last season where Alabama did Alabama things that we were familiar with from the Nick Saban era. The way they beat Georgia, especially the way they started that game against Georgia. But more specifically to me, that LSU game last year was the most Nick Saban-esque moment of Kalen DeBoer's first year. Top 15 matchup, playoff eliminator, Alabama going on the road to LSU, college game day, under the lights, all of the hype around it, a huge buildup to that game. And what did Alabama do? They smothered LSU from start to finish. That reminded me more of Alabama at its peak under Saban more than anything Kalen DeBoer did last year. The problem was that was compounded by the other stuff, by the loss to Vanderbilt, by the dud, the egg they laid against Oklahoma. Will those get scrubbed out as this culture becomes more of Kalen DeBoer's? And obviously, a lot of that hinges on Ty Simpson, who's from just a couple hours west of us here in Martin, Tennessee. And then LSU, who is, I won't say national title or bust, but title contention or bust. This has to be the weirdest vibe in the SEC between fan base and head coach, Brian Kelly and the LSU fan base, where they have done certain things that lead you to believe they're on the path to contention, but they haven't been able to get it going at the same time, right? We saw that record-setting offense 2 years ago, complemented by a dreadful defense. They met it in the middle a little bit last season, but a week one loss against what ended up being a 6-6 USC team, other moments that held them back. What does Brian Kelly's relationship with the LSU fan base look like by the end of this season with an excellent roster and a quarterback in Garrett Nussmeier that could go at the top of the first round? And then there's a team that I wonder, just to throw this in, if they can sneak into this discussion, and that's Oklahoma. I'm fascinated by the Oklahoma experiment this year with John Mateer at quarterback, with Jaden Ott, who I feel like isn't being talked about enough, an All-American running back that comes over from Cal, that in each of his 2 healthy seasons of his career at Cal, averaged 5.3 yards per carry. And this roster that's been put together by Jim Nagy, a Brent Venables defense, there's a stretch there where Oklahoma plays, I think it's 5 straight ranked opponents from the preseason poll. No other team has that kind of stretch based on the poll that just came out a couple days ago. But there is a story around Oklahoma that we talked a little bit about yesterday that is just odd and very college football dumb in a way that only college football can do. Maybe we revisit that with the dumbest thing in sports this week coming up. But I'm fascinated at the way Oklahoma might be able to sneak into this discussion as an outlier in 2025. So John Mateer comes over to Oklahoma from Washington State. He replaced Cam Ward at Washington State. Cam Ward is set to meet with the media. After Titans join practice, we've got the quarterback speaking in that press conference. And the dumbest thing in sports is hour 2 of the show comes up next on 104.5 The Zone.
11:02. Good morning. Live from the 104.5 The Zone studios. I am Robert Walsh. Day 2 of Titans-Falcons joint camp. Brian Callahan spoke before practice and spoke about how much we can expect to see Cam Ward in Friday's preseason game.
I think because he played two series last week and like to kind of continue that. I think just the game, being in the stadium and the game reps, I think is important. You know, whether or not we're playing against starters or it doesn't really matter. It's more just to be in the stadium, on the field by himself, hearing the calls, managing the clock, all those things. Just the more experience of that he gets, the better. And so as long as those starters are in there, he'll be in there. So again, probably about 2 series.
An update on the James Cook holdout saga we talked about yesterday. A new deal, 4 years, $48 million extension. Once the Kyron Williams deal got done, that was a 3-year extension for 11. It got the ball rolling that it ultimately led to James agreeing to his 12 on 4. Something to watch while the Titans still maintain the number 1 spot in the waiver order. The Vikings have waived linebacker Brian Asamoah, a former third-round pick in 2020. Asamoah has played in 46 games with no starts and only 30 tackles to his career, but some experts lead to believe that a change in scheme would help his career. For all your foundation repair and your waterproofing needs, you got to go to USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Hour 2 off and running. The dumbest thing in sports still to come. Buck will check in from Atlanta to update us on everything that went down at joint practice today between Titans and Falcons. Lucas Panzica with you. Robert and I here until 1 o'clock, holding it down. And it sounds like it was an eventful joint practice down in Flowery Branch. Titans a little bit better. Does that mean it was good? I don't know. Maybe we'll get more on that later on with Buck, the always optimistic Buck. A lot went down. A lot of skirmishes, it seems, especially between Falcons offense and Titans defense. So there was juice and clearly an intent by the Titans to get back on the more competitive side of things here on day 2. And, of course, they'll go through walkthroughs tomorrow, and the next time those two teams meet will be on the playing field Friday night in the preseason, week 2 of the NFL preseason, where the Falcons probably not going to see a lot of starters. And that's the second straight week where the Titans' preseason opponent will have a lot of backups in play. Kirk Cousins is a maybe, it sounds like, from Raheem Morris, who basically confirmed that Michael Penix Jr. will not play in the preseason game. And we'll see if there's much of anybody else that can be considered a starter on the Falcons roster playing out there on Friday. But Brian Callahan, as you heard in the update, is going to go at it with the starters again. 2 series seems to be kind of that magic number for Cam Ward. Just that opportunity to get the feel for being in an NFL stadium on the playing field, going through preseason warmups. And we talked to Charles Davis earlier in terms of the situational stuff that you'd like to see from Cam. And I liked what Charles said, a longer, more sustained drive compared to what we saw last week. It was good to see the offense settle in after a slow start, that quick connection with Calvin Ridley, and then get off the field after a Tony Pollard goal line touchdown run. But I'd love to see Cam Ward maybe spread the ball around a little bit more this Friday. Because the more I think about this Titans offense and this Titans passing game, kind of 2 things are happening congruently. The more confident I am in this Cam Ward-Calvin Ridley connection, it has blossomed to this point in camp far more than we saw at any point last year. And that was a huge talking point last year, right? Between Levis and Ridley. Oh, they'll get there, they'll get there, they'll get there. That connection never really got nailed down. And it immediately carried over into week 1. And it took a few weeks for Calvin Ridley to get settled in. Some of that was on Calvin Ridley. He was a little bit banged up. He experienced some drops. And then he settled in, and somehow, in the midst of the turnover and disastrous quarterback play, had a 1,000-yard season.
A little bit of an update. So I just got a call from Buck. Practice just wrapped. Cam is going to do his post-practice routine, and then he is going to lift. And then he will do his presser. So the 11 o'clock scheduled presser, maybe this will give them plenty of time to fix the audio levels, because when Brian Callahan went live for his press conference, he was overdriven and overmodulated. So I would take this time, Titans training staff or whoever the hell's figuring out this press conference, of how to get the levels right. since he's not going to come on at his pre-scheduled time. So now I will save my 90 seconds of tweetable video for later.
Okay, there you go. So we will hear from Cam Ward at some point, maybe in this hour, maybe more at the top of the noon hour. We'll see. So post-practice routine and lift in between practice and Cam Ward's press conference.
So dumbest thing in sports?
We'll do that on the other side, but there are a couple of notes here. Number one, Cam Ward throwing an interception near the end of practice in a full team period. Ben Arthur of Fox Sports putting it out there this way. In full team period, Cam Ward was picked off. Tried to throw it away after getting flushed out of the pocket, but couldn't get the ball out of bounds. The Falcons' D. Alford snagged it for the INT. Now, we didn't see the play, so I am not prepared to stack that play next to the throwaway in Tampa, where Cam was rolling right. Remember, it was the 3-and-out on the first offensive series, and might have bailed a little bit too early from the pocket. Cam Ward, he's rolling, doesn't have it, and he just kind of lofts it over a defender into a safe, open patch of grass, where on most occasions you would want Cam Ward to chuck that thing over the sideline. It doesn't sound like this was the same situation. This sounds like Cam Ward getting flushed out and just failing to get the ball out of bounds, trying to get the ball out of bounds, but failing to do so, and D. Alford essentially beating the ball to the sideline and to being out of play. So, again, the more we see Cam Ward in these competitive practice environments and preseason games, the more we're going to see these things that he can work on, the batted balls at the line of scrimmage, being cleaner on the throwaways, getting that thing up and out of here, not in a place where a defender can get it, and not even into an open patch of grass during the course of a play. So we'll continue to monitor this stuff. As these practices happen, again, today felt like it was better for the Titans. Maybe not necessarily good, but better. And we'll hear from Cam Ward at some point later on in the show. A little bit of injury news in Cleveland, who's got all the quarterbacks in the world, yet none of them seem to be healthy. Ian Rappaport of NFL Network tweeting that Browns quarterback Shedeur Sanders injured his oblique in practice today early on, and he'll be evaluated. That might take him out of the next preseason game, the latest in a string of Cleveland nagging quarterback injuries.
Yeah, that's tough. Whoever's gonna end up playing for them in the preseason game, the outlook is looking oblique.
Oh, yes. I'm sorry. That's a tough spot for me to be in.
Yeah, I don't know what I wanted you to do there.
You put me in a tough spot.
You laughed at it in the break.
Browns play the Eagles on Saturday.
So it's even obliquer.
So how many Browns quarterbacks have run into an injury at one point or another in camp? This is now Kenny Pickett, Dylan Gabriel, Shedeur Sanders. Obviously, Deshaun Watson is far away from playing football again. And Joe Flacco's had a relatively healthy camp, yes? He's not going to play in the preseason. He's 40 years old. But I don't think Joe Flacco's picked up anything in training camp, if I'm not mistaken. And then there's Tyler Huntley, who spelled Shedeur Sanders in the preseason game last Friday. Shedeur flashed last week. I don't think he had the all-pro performance that I think it was being stacked up to be. But we'll see who gets the start for the Browns after Shedeur picks up a minor injury, it would seem. Apparently, Calvin Ridley, by the way, Robert, walked off the field, according to Buck's Twitter, yelling, "We won today. Y'all write that."
Oh, okay. Okay, I love that. Well, I mean, he's going against his former team. You know what I mean? There's a little bit of a spite there. You know what I mean?
And he apparently caught that deep ball from Cam during team drills, spiked that thing after he got into the end zone, pointed to the Falcons fans that were out there. He beat his former teammate, A.J. Terrell, on the way to doing it. So, yeah, a lot of juice out there from Calvin Ridley. There is a headline on what had been an ongoing situation in Buffalo. James Cook has his new deal. 4 years, $48 million, $30 million guaranteed. He returned to practice yesterday, what seemed like kind of a good faith move, coming back to practice before the deal was made official. Apparently it was completed around 10 p.m. Central Time yesterday. So he was on the practice field before the deal was actually completed, according to Brandon Beane, the Bills general manager. So James Cook's deal ends up falling around that $12 million a year mark. We knew he wanted in that range of $15 a year. We saw Kyron Williams in L.A. with the Rams get $11 a year. Does $12 million a year, Robert, seem appropriate for James Cook after the season he had last year running the football for the Bills.
Sure, and I would need to see the breakdown, but I'm assuming it's probably the same breakdown that a standard 3 or 4 year deal is where the first 2 years are guaranteed, maybe the third year is half guaranteed. But I am still under the mindset of just draft a running back in every draft. Just add another guy, and the league continues to go more and more towards running back by committee. So, I'm not a huge component of signing a guy who, despite him having a league-tying 16 touchdowns last year, I understand that, but I'm not in the business of signing guys that I feel like I can replace with a rookie or replace with a second-year guy. Like running back, I feel like is one of the better replacement-level positions in the NFL, and that's tough for me. But everyone that signed before this, Kyron Williams, getting him for $11 a year, looks infinitely better. And I'm sure there will be a running back that signed after this that gets 14 or 15 that probably doesn't deserve it. And it'll make James Cook deal look better. But to me, no, I do not think this is a big deal or a good deal for them, especially considering all the money they've handed out this offseason. Like, their extensions this offseason have been absolutely bonkers. Let me pull this up real quick just to go over them all briefly. But getting Josh Allen done, getting a number of their defensive players done, now getting James Cook added to that. Their future is tied to Buffalo. It just depends if those players can realize the future.
Yeah, they paid Josh Palmer at the wide receiver spot. Keon Coleman obviously still on his rookie contract. So just trying to keep the band together, it seems, in Buffalo. And it's hard to fault them for that. But at what point, where's the breaking point in that if you're Brandon Beane?
So the extensions of their players that they've gotten done this offseason. They got Josh Allen done, a 6-year, $330 million deal. They had to get that done. We talked about James Cook getting 4 for $48. Christian Benford, their cornerback, 4 years, $76 million. Their defensive end, Gregory Rousseau, 4 years, $80 million, $20 a year. Their linebacker, Terrell Bernard, 4 years, $50 million. That's $12.5 a year. Wide receiver Khalil Shakur, you talked about Josh Palmer. They also added him. Mm-hmm. Khalil's getting 4 years, $53 million. So a huge investment into the future, just hoping all these guys can. I mean, the problem with paying people is okay, you've got them under contract now. Can they stay healthy? Can they not regress? Can they get better? Those are all the questions that'll have to be answered now. But all of those excellent players worth paying, worth having.
So James Cook's hold-in is over, and that leaves the most high-profile holdouts being Trey Hendrickson and Micah Parsons. I guess those are both technically hold-ins, right, if they're there. Either way, they want a deal. They don't seem close to getting one. Two of the best edge rushers in the NFL. It's a mind-boggling thing. The most important position outside of quarterback, in my opinion, in this sport. They are two of the very best to do it, and none of them seem even close to getting a deal done. Micah Parsons in Dallas, Trey Hendrickson in Cincinnati. And then maybe an even weirder situation, Robert, is what's going on in Pittsburgh. We have not talked at all about Cam Hayward asking for more money after he just got a 3-year, $45 million deal last year?
Right, 15 a year.
36 years old. Cam Ward, 1 year after getting a $15 million in average annual value contract, is holding in for more money in Pittsburgh. Is this insane? Am I missing something here?
I don't think so. I think you have the full picture flat and ready. It makes no sense to me, especially considering this is a team that, there are other teams that are Super Bowl or bust, but this really feels like you either, or the old saying, poop or get off the pot. If they're not able to get it done this year, you might as well scrap the whole thing, start all the way over. You paid T.J. Watt. You paid Aaron Rodgers. You traded for D.K. Metcalf. You traded George Pickens away. And all of this, you would expect a veteran on your team, somebody that's been on your team for God knows how long, to be like, okay, I want to galvanize this unit. I want us to go into the regular seasons with no questions, no exterior motives, nothing. And instead, he's like, I'll miss regular season games if you guys don't pay me. I ain't got no problem with that. That to me seems a little selfish, especially on a team that needs veteran leadership now more than ever. But I think it's also important to note that he talked crap about Aaron Rodgers all offseason. Yep. If you don't want to be here, don't be here. If you're going to come, then you better come right now. You better get over here. Well, he showed up when he wanted to. Mike Tomlin's not phased. T.J. Watt's not phased. Anyone else on that defense or offense isn't phased. Cam Hayward is the only one pitching a hissy fit, and he's supposed to be your longest tenured Steeler. That, to me, is a red flag. And I don't take great happiness in saying that because, unlike the Bengals, I have respect for the Steelers.
36 years old, man, making $15 million a year playing on the defensive line. Yeah, that one is tough to wrap your head around. Do we have things to give away for the dumbest thing in sports?
We do have things to give away. It is Winning Wednesday. So if you give us the dumbest thing in sports, it gets you 2 tickets to see the Sounds host Louisville next Wednesday. That is August 20th at First Horizon Park. Also, the first 1,000 fans to the game will receive a Voiles, we'll call it that, a Voiles snapback hat giveaway presented by Advance Financial. That instrument that I struggled to pronounce there is a classic Mexican guitar that typically has a higher pitch than you see in the classic guitar you might hear on Broadway. So that's all in the copy, by the way. I was scared to read that word.
615-737-1045. Before you know it, baseball season is going to be over. So a chance to get back out there to watch the Nashville Sounds. All you got to do is give us a call, and the best submission for the dumbest thing in sports this week will get the tickets. We'll do it next.
Trajan Wealth is here to help you like they've helped so many other clients achieve that financial independence, achieve that peace of mind that comes with financial independence, how important that can be. As a veteran, Trajan Wealth CEO Jeff Jr. fully appreciates the importance of true independence. He founded Trajan Wealth as an independent firm, allowing fiduciary advisors the ability to customize a portfolio to meet your unique goals and needs. Call Trajan Wealth to discuss options for achieving that financial independence today. There are 2 locations here in Middle Tennessee, Brentwood and Franklin. Their number is 615-270-5000. That's 615-270-5000. And visit them online at TrajanWealth.com. Advisory services offered through Trajan Wealth, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. This is a paid advertisement.
615-737-1045. The best submission for the dumbest thing in sports this week. It's 2 tickets to see the Nashville Sounds play who and when, Robert Walsh?
To play Louisville on August 20th, just 1 week from today.
All right, and you get free stuff if you show up early.
The first 1,000 fans, that is correct, you will get a hat in the form of a classic Mexican guitar.
615-737-1045. I will start, and I don't like to do this. I'm doubling down this week. For what made us say, oh no, in sports yesterday, I went with John Mateer, the Oklahoma quarterback, and what is now being dubbed Venmo Gate. I'm going with it again for the dumbest thing in sports this week because I feel like I have an actual grasp of what's going on here. Because when I saw, Robert, that some fan scrubbed all the way back to 2022 on John Mateer's Venmo page when he was a redshirt freshman quarterback at Washington State and screen capped a bunch of Venmo transactions that held the caption sports gambling and put it out there in what has turned into this saga, and I don't know if you can call it a scandal, but at least something close to that. I thought, there I go. Damn Elon. Look at my phone.
Vanity.
Look at my phone. My phone is like in sleep mode. And something's just blaring out of it from Twitter. Anyway.
Sounds like a user error.
Probably. When I saw that, I thought, well, obviously that's fake. Obviously. Somebody went in and I don't know if they manufactured or something fake happened where they tried to set it up like it was John Mateer sending transactions with the caption sports gambling, because surely no student athlete in the country, regardless of sport, when they hammer it into your brain from the moment you step on campus, whether you're an athlete or even an employee, like I was no athlete, I assure you, but I did some work with Vol Network with VFL Films. Even as an employee with any sort of tangential tie to the athletic department, they put you in a room and they say, do not gamble. Don't do it. Don't have the apps. Don't place bets. Don't talk about placing bets. NFL, NBA, college football, doesn't matter. Don't do it. So I'm going to bet that happens with student athletes too. So it was very hard for me to believe, Robert, that a redshirt freshman quarterback at Washington State would send public Venmo transactions with the caption sports gambling. Multiple transactions with that caption, with, in parentheses, the game that he allegedly was gambling on. Sports gambling, in parentheses, UCLA versus USC. It is so on the nose and insane that I thought, no, this can't be real. It can't be. But it seems like it is, because John Mateer went back, he scrubbed his Venmo, and he has put out a statement. The Oklahoma quarterback, a screenshot of his notes app that says, quote, the allegations that I once participated in sports gambling are false. My previous Venmo descriptions did not accurately portray the transactions in question, but were instead inside jokes between me and my friends. I have never bet on sports. I understand the seriousness of the matter, but recognize that, taken out of context, those Venmo descriptions suggest otherwise. I can assure my teammates, coaches, and officials at the NCAA that I have not engaged in any sports gambling. The whole situation has to be the dumbest thing in sports this week. Because yesterday I went from thinking, it's probably not real, let's wait and see, to today, John Mateer coming out and saying, no, that was me, but I wasn't gambling. I don't even know what to make of this. I don't know if anything's going to come of this. This was 3 years ago. He was a redshirt freshman. He wasn't playing. Maybe it was something over FIFA, a FIFA game or a Madden game. I don't know. But the whole situation has just spiraled into something so dumb.
I think you could take more away from the fact that Mateer's Venmo transactions were public. Who in their right mind is leaving their Venmo transactions public?
Me until yesterday when I made them private.
Dude, you should. Anyone out there. It is no one else's business who is sending you money for what or where you're sending money.
I've never cared. Anytime I've ever Venmoed someone, it's been for pizza, for a bar tab, for rent. I don't know.
Sure, exactly. But then people don't need to know who you're sending rent to, who you're sending, and then they'll go, okay, they're sending rent on here. I need to hack this person because it's a lot of money.
So
My friends used to send Venmo transactions that would be for pizza, but it would be like for hard drugs, for weed. And then just so your parents would see, why did Brian send you $25 for weed?
For, quote, hard drugs?
Yeah.
Maybe that's the situation, John Mateer. That's the inside joke, right? It's actually for pizza. But it's like, wouldn't it be funny if we said sports gambling and everybody got all mad about it?
Meanwhile, he's at Oklahoma having to deal with all this.
Having to deal with it 3 years later. Also, how far do people have to scroll to see this dude's Venmo? But again, I mentioned Oklahoma as this team. Could they sneak into some sort of contention? That Venables defense, Jim Nagy putting together the roster. They're talented. They've got an All-American running back. They've got arguably the most exciting transfer quarterback of last offseason. I don't know, but this kind of is hanging over it at the moment. We'll see if anything comes of it. I tend to think come week one, John Mateer will be playing quarterback for the Sooners.
My dumbest thing in sports, every year, some concession stand, some team says they get their culinary experts together and they go, this is it, guys. We have rang the bell, my friends. We have arrived, and they debut their new culinary item just for it to be pooped on by the internet. That team, those chefs, belong to the Indianapolis Colts, where yesterday they unveiled a horseshoe-shaped pretzel. Baked, delicious pretzel goodness. Dip it in beer cheese. Enjoy it at a Colts game. The only problem? It looks like a horseshoe-shaped turd. Just a big old dookie right there on that cutting board. Like, there is no other way you could look at the long and veiny of it and see that that is not a turd. Like, they could not be more turd-like unless they were like, enjoy the kernels inside of this pretzel. Like, it is disgusting looking. And the only thing I could find myself saying is, man, somebody would be lucky to drop one like that. God, it would just feel, I tweeted it out earlier at Robbie_Walsh. If you let one of those loose, similar to Randy Marsh in South Park, you would be breaking a record.
It's lunchtime.
If you've ever had one do a U-turn like that, you know that would be a good one.
How are we supposed to tell people to go to Hattie B's after this segment at 11:30?
If you want to poop like that, go to Hattie B's, get the half chicken, get the collard greens, get all the fiber you can handle. Because the Colts are putting on for the city. The Colts are out there saying, if you want a Dookie pretzel, get your hot Dookie pretzel.
It, unfortunately,
looks just like a turd.
That's exactly what it looks like.
Like, how did they put that picture out? Someone had to be like, can we adjust the lighting? The curvature,
I mean, I can't see it any other way. They're getting absolutely dragged on the internet.
Someone's first date is going to be to a Colts game. It's like, want a bite of my
like a pretzel?
You want a bite of my Dookie pretzel?
It's exactly what it looks like. It's incredibly unfortunate.
Maybe the Colts are the only team that could put something like that out because they have the only mascot that could provide a turd like that. Well, I guess the Broncos could too. Maybe, but you think an Eagle or a Cardinal or a Seahawks dropping something like that? No way. No way.
Download the Hattie B's app today. Get a free dessert just by doing so. 615-737-1045. For you to give us your dumbest thing in sports this week, a chance to win a pair of Sounds tickets next week. Remember to stay on hold after you give your submission so you don't lose your chance to win. Peyton in Hendersonville up first. Hey, Peyton.
Hey, how are y'all doing?
Great. What you got?
So my dumbest thing in sports is around the John Mateer gambling allegations. However, it's not him. It's Joel Klatt, what he tweeted last night. He tweeted in quote, "So let me get this straight. We're going to turn college football into a lawless free-for-all with large sums of money flowing to players who can be free agents twice a year, but then gasp about 3 Venmo descriptions from 2022. What are we doing?" ? I mean, I guess I sort of understand what he's saying. However, you can't gamble.
Okay, you got to close your door, buckle up, change your oil, whatever the hell's making that ding-dong noise. I appreciate the submission, but I think everybody out there is like, close the door!
I do appreciate the call, and it is a good submission. Stay on hold so you don't lose your chance. But yeah,
please
Peyton,
buckle up.
Close the door, buckle up.
Make the turn, whatever the hell that noise was.
But yeah, Joel Klatt did tweet that out there, wondering why we are freaking out about 3 Venmo descriptions from 3 years ago. And, I mean, I don't terribly disagree with what Joel Klatt's saying. Like, I am not going to pearl clutch over a redshirt freshman quarterback gambling a few times 3 years ago. Like, I get he's not supposed to, but it was 3 years ago. Not to mention, it's not a good look, I understand, but how are you going to go back and prove that that was for gambling purposes, right? It's not a transaction on a sports book. It's not a transaction in a casino. It's a Venmo description to a buddy. I doubt anything will come of this, but I don't know. I don't particularly disagree with Joel Klatt saying we're talking about this huge industry where all these gambling sponsorships and everything, we're going to lose our minds over a couple of Venmo captions 3 years ago.
Yeah, but then did you see Connor Stallions tweeting? He's like, oh, when this kid's Venmo transactions legitimately say sports betting and the game he betted on, and it happened the day after the game, everyone's like, oh, this has got to be some kind of mistake. Me, when I accept 18 Venmo requests for T-shirts, everyone loses their mind.
It is undeniably funny that he just wrote sports gambling on all of these descriptions. I can't get over that. All right, we got to roll through some here because Cam Ward is allegedly en route to his press conference with Titans media. So let's get to Chris in Lafayette up next. Hey, Chris.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Good. What you got?
My thing this week is Boo Carter's mom's social media account. The fact that the entitlement is so strong that it is spilled over in college sports into the parents' attitudes as to what rules the kids have to follow and what punishments they need to get back in the good graces of the team and the coaches is just insane to me. It's got to be the dumbest thing this week.
Thanks for the call, Chris. We are going to put a pause on this segment because Cam Ward is up at the podium. So we go live to the Titans quarterback after joint practice.
Atlanta got some good quality work on both sides of the ball, but we got better as a whole, though.
Day-to-day progress, you felt comfortable and confident with where you guys were, not just individually, but as a team?
I think that's the biggest thing, just us continue to grow together. The whole trip, just being around each other the whole time. Then just day-to-day, we starting to put it together, the little things. I think that's the biggest thing that, we want to accomplish out of, joint practice. The little things going to end up winning us games.
What do you think this team is in terms of identity building?
I'd say our biggest asset right now is just our physicality. Up from the trenches, I think the O-line and D-line bring that every day to practice, whether we playing against ourselves or going against another opponent. And I think that's going to be our standpoint throughout the whole year and, even into the future. And so those guys up front are going to be the reason why we win a lot of games.
Cam, when you're coming into joint practices like this, back-to-back, what's the preparation like? What's your communication like with Brian Callahan, Bo Hardegree, Nick Holtz?
Just getting in there, going through my reads. It's really all base plays that we're running because we're not really game planning for whether he's playing Tampa or Atlanta here in the joint practice. And it's really just about getting the time and footwork with myself and the receivers. And that's something that we got to get fast. Games right around the corner, real football games. And, I'm looking forward to keep building that chemistry with them.
Last year, a lot of slow starts. This year, obviously you're new here, but you got a couple slow starts. For you in practice, like what's your mindset like coming in and making sure that you don't have that slow start?
Just being aggressive. The only thing we had slow starts. It's been more of just not being disciplined on the first snap, whether it's my position or another player's position. And just little details, whether it's a penalty on us, whether it's a turnover on us, or just an all-around bad play on us. It's just us not starting fast on the first play, just in assignment-wise.
What do you think that got better from yesterday to today as you go back and look at yesterday's practice and then compare it to today?
Well, I just think we made plays today on the perimeter. The quarterbacks, us three, putting the ball in a receiver's position to have him let him make a play for us. So I think that's the biggest difference from yesterday and today is that we were able to make plays, in the passing game. I think the running game is always going to be one of our standpoints. I think today we averaged probably like 5 to 6 yards a pop every time we handed it off to the backs. And I just think the O-line just brought the physicality even more than what they did yesterday.
What do you think when the ball leaves your hand and you realize you didn't put it out of bounds and the DB's got a chance there on that throwaway?
Really just pain. That's my first time doing it, so can't make it happen again. I mean, I'd rather do it in the practice, doing the game, so I really don't even trip about it. The only thing you can do is throw it hard out of bounds or just throw it straight at their head coach or something.
That happened in the game last week. You didn't get picked off, but it didn't make it to the sideline. I know you rarely make the same mistake twice, so what was it that, allowed it to happen today?
Just not putting enough on it. Even when I throw on my back foot, I got to know to put more on it. And then just continuously learn the new rules. I don't really have to throw it far out of bounds. I can throw it right at the yard line marker and dirty right out of bounds. So just continue to just learn the new rule nuances of the NFL, knowing how to throw it away or when I need to throw it away, then also just put more on it.
Now that you've had 3 joint practices, just how do you feel like this offense stacks up against pro defenses? You've seen it live. How do you feel this stacks up?
Well, I think we honestly have the ability to be a top 10 offense, but also it goes on every guy in that huddle, including myself, bringing the right mindset every day. And us also playing together. I think that's the biggest things that we always play together. We never point fingers at each other on both sides of the ball. And we just got to always have that mindset that we can be the best offense in the NFL. And then it really just comes with just us caring about each other on the field, off the field, and I think a lot of that stuff will translate to the game.
What are the tangible things you've seen that give you that confidence that you could be a top 10 offense?
Just the playmakers that I have in the backfield with me, the running back core, then especially in the receiving core. I think I also have a top 5 receiver core in the NFL, including the young guys who are able to make plays. It's really all about just us or myself putting the ball in their frame of work, letting them make a play. And then it's also those guys being aggressive to make plays for the team. And then the O-line, I don't have to worry about them. That's going to always be the standpoint. Those guys, they bring the energy every day, especially starting with JC. So I'm excited to be behind those guys. Those guys' pass protection, they keep me clean. Really, I would say 8 times out of 10. I know I'm going to take a bad sack this year. They're going to give up a sack this year, but we just got to continue to play, good, clean football.
How's your relationship on the field with Alec come along? It seems like there's been a concerted effort to get him the ball the past couple of days. What's your confidence level throwing in his direction?
I'm always confident throwing to Alec. I think as a route runner standpoint, I think we stole him when we drafted him, especially me playing against him in the Pac-12. So I've seen him for quite a long time. I'm excited to, continue to play with him in real football games. And I think his biggest attribute that he doesn't get, I would say, the recognition for is how physical he is. Especially being that big and strong as he is, he can move off the line of scrimmage. He can move guys, corners in and out of their breaks. And I just think the more that he continues to grow, continues to, take little things from Red, me taking little things from Red, from all the vets who've done, extensive amount of time in the league, I just think it's going to end up helping us.
So Cam, you said a moment ago how you feel like you guys have like a top 5 receiving core. I guess why is it so important for you to kind of put out that kind of belief in your guys? I mean, I know you don't really care about the outside, but external people wouldn't have that belief about, your group. Why is it so important for you to kind of put those words out there in the ether, so to speak?
I just think because we all believe it. The whole receiving core. I love speaking out to existence. I tell those guys that they're the best, and it really just comes down to us being on our P's and Q's every week. And that's where yesterday's practice we weren't, and today's practice we were a lot better. And I just think the biggest thing about myself in the receiving core is that we got to always have confidence with each other. I know they gonna get hemmed up on a route. They know I'm going to throw an interception. But at the end of the day, no matter what bad play goes on, we got to always have that confidence in each other that we're going to make the next play.
It seems like sometimes when you guys find some difficulty mid-range or downfield, there's a sense of like, okay, let's reset, get back into rhythm by going short time in game or getting to the check down quicker. Is that a fair assessment?
Say that question again?
Do you sometimes, as an offense, when maybe you guys have a miss or something goes wrong mid-range or downfield, do you kind of say, hey, let's scale it back, let's get more into the short timing stuff and build up back to that?
I don't really think so. At least not in my mindset when I'm in the huddle. We miss a deep ball, I'll go deep again the next play, you just better complete it. I think that's more Coach Callahan's, just us. If we do miss on deep ball or intermediate pass, him wanting to go quick game, just really just us getting positive yards, trying to stay on track. And I just think at the end of the day, like, we got to complete those intermediate and deep passes. I mean, he's going to call them a lot, and I have to be smart with the ball, whether it's open or if I need to check it down.
Cam, the last couple of this, what do you feel like you need to work on the most to be ready for the
Honestly, I think I'm at a point where I can go play a game with my guys, physically, mentally. I think the biggest thing I need to work on going to the game is just more reps at certain plays I haven't gotten the right amount of reps at. The new plays that we're adding, so getting more reps at those. I got a lot of reps at the base install that Coach Callahan's put in, but just all the new little installs that he's added, whether we're adding play here or there once a week, just getting more reps at those so I can see different coverages. But if we have to go play a game, I'll be fully prepared with the coach staff that I have.
The last couple quarterbacks that were selected number 1, them and their head coach didn't make it to year 2. I'm not saying that's going to happen here, but I know you have the confidence that it won't. What is it that makes you believe that you and Brian Callahan could break that somewhat of a trend?
I just think he's going to put me in the best position to succeed. And that's with my quarterback coach, Coach Bo, and the OC, Coach Nick. I mean, I'm trying to play as long as I can for Tennessee with those 3 guys at the helm. those guys, they continuously give me feedback even when I don't want feedback, and they continuously get me better. When I ask questions, they answer every question to the little detail as much as I need it. So I'm blessed to have those three, in the same room with me. They push me to be great. I want to be one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, and I just think the more that we continuously build our relationship, us three, Coach Callahan, continuously getting to know what I like on the field, when I like it on the field. Then me also being smart with the ball and gaining that trust every day from him to have those play calls, whether he wants to go deep or do quick game. I just think he's going to end up helping all three of us out in the long run.
You haven't had stability much throughout your college career, but if you could get it here in the league, like how much would that really unlock your potential?
I think it'll unlock everything. You see it with the best quarterbacks out there. Tom Brady, he has stability. Lamar, he has stability. Pat, he has stability. And so I just think a lot of guys who have stability in the NFL can succeed, I wouldn't say at a faster rate, but can succeed long term. And I just think that's what we need in Tennessee. We haven't had that in a long time, but I think the guys we have right here, offensively and defensively, I think we got the stability to do it.
One last one. How much responsibility do you feel to be this stability? In this league, quarterback-driven league, number one picks, do you feel like you're the guy that kind of has to be the person to make that success happen? Is that a pressure you feel?
It's not really a pressure I feel, but I know, I have to be the stability. I'm the one who calls the play call every day, every time in the huddle. I'm who everybody looks at in the huddle, when we need explosive play, when we need motivation. And so, it comes with the territory. I want the territory of being an NFL quarterback. And I would just say, just on that part, is that we just got to continue to build each other up. I would say the best thing about our huddle is that whether we have a bad play or nothing, if I have a bad play, we always build each other up. And just from the stability standpoint, just me and Coach Callahan just continuously building our relationship like we've been doing since he drafted me. He's one of the best head coaches out there. And I want to be a reason why at the end of the year he can be one of the top five head coaches in the NFL.
Thanks, man.
Yep. Thank you.
That is Titans quarterback Cam Ward, the always confident Cam Ward, speaking after the second and final joint practice with the Falcons. We'll react to that. We'll continue to take your calls on the dumbest thing in sports this week and much more to come as we approach hour 3 of the show next on 104.5 The Zone.
Erectile dysfunction can wreck your confidence. It can impact your relationship, your mental health, and even your sense of identity. But there is good news. There's real help. Since 2014, the Tennessee Men's Clinic has helped thousands of guys get back to feeling like themselves. First in Midtown before it was called Midtown, then in Cool Springs, and now in Clarksville. No matter where you are in Middle Tennessee, expert care is close by. These aren't cookie-cutter solutions. The Tennessee Men's Clinic is urology-based and staffed with multiple licensed providers who specialize in men's sexual health issues. They have proven treatments tailored to your specific situation. No one size fits all. So whether you're dealing with mild or moderate ED, performance issues, or even conditions like Peyronie's disease, their medical team will work with you to create a plan that gets results, often with options most men didn't even know exist. So call the Tennessee Men's Clinic today at 615-208-9090. That's 615-208-9090 or book online at TennesseeMen'sClinic.com.
Cam Ward, always confident at the podium, especially today. Not the first time he said that he believes the Titans offense can be a top 10 unit in the league, but top 5 wide receiver core, determined to bring the stability that is conducive to success for young quarterbacks in the NFL, taking that upon himself. A lot there to break down from Cam Ward's press conference, including some of his analysis on what they did better, on some of the things he didn't do well in joint practice with the Falcons. We'll get to all of that and more. Buck will join us in the noon hour as he heads back to his hotel room in Flowery Branch. But we head back to the phones for the dumbest thing in sports this week, your chance to win a pair of Sounds tickets next week. We've heard from Peyton, who had John Mateer and his Venmo transaction situation. Chris said Boo Carter's mother, who has been just all over the place on social media. Yeah, players' parents being out there like that usually isn't going to be beneficial. Let's go to Brian in Mount Juliet next. Hey, Brian.
Hey, mine is for CeeDee Lamb getting trucked and penalized on the sideline.
Great submission, Brian. Stay on hold for your chance to win. Robert had that as what made him say, oh no, in sports just yesterday. Tucker, Hermitage, up next.
Yeah, so believe it or not, mine's also about John Mateer. Just that whole situation is just terrible. And the funniest thing to me is just him saying it was an inside joke. And the funniest thing in, that kind of joke is he put the actual game. It's one thing if you say sports gambling as something funny, but if you put parentheses at a game, that's just unbelievable. And, like you and Bert said, somebody actually going back to 2022 and trying to get that. But yeah.
Thanks for the call, Tucker. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what is worse about the situation. A fan actually trying to ruin John Mateer's life by scrolling through his Venmo transactions, John Mateer keeping them public, which admittedly I did too until yesterday, or the specificity of putting the game in the caption. I mean, that's a hell of an inside joke. Like, what could that inside joke be, Robert? What could sports gambling be a euphemism for?
Ooh, sports gambling. Maybe. God, I mean, maybe they were gambling, but maybe, like you were talking about, maybe it's on FIFA, maybe it's on Madden.
Yeah,
I don't understand what else this could possibly be. Like, oh, this is for our cleaning lady. Oh, this was for meal prep. Like, what else could you? I don't know what athletes are spending their money on in college, but I don't know what would be sports gambling adjacent.
Jay in Nashville's up next. Hey, Jay.
Yeah, my thing is I hate to do it to you, but it's for Robert. I love this man. Jerry Jones is his daddy and all that good stuff. But man, Robert, I'm trying to eat my lunch, have a good time, eating ribs, and you say, dude, look like curds stuff. I said, I'm gonna turn it down. And turn back up, doo.
Get your dookie pretzel.
You are a habitual line stepper. That is what you should got, Robert. The habitual line stepper. And I'm gonna sneak in on Bugs Girl. Love you guys. Have a great time.
Well, thanks for the call, Jay. What was that?
He'll sneak in on Buck's girl. Is that what he said?
I don't know who he's talking about.
Yeah, it could be any woman. Who knows?
Okay. Who gets the tickets? I like Jay at the end there. But
yeah, and Brian was succinct. I like succinctity. Yeah. Is that a word?
No.
Synecdoche? What would be?
Now, Chris's submission of Boo Carter's mom on the internet. Real quick, here are some of the recent posts from Boo Carter's mother. Obviously, in case you somehow hadn't caught wind of it, Boo Carter, the Tennessee defensive back that was getting reps on offense in the spring, important player for Tennessee, punt returner, dynamic player that can have a big impact on their season. Disconnected from the program all year, got into it with some veterans, left, was in California. His status was up in the air. He had to earn his way back onto the field, which he's done, and he's back practicing with the team. But Boo Carter's mother posting on Facebook just the other day, this Facebook post. Bruh, Deion got 8 players drafted in 2025. WTF. Legendary. Okay. Yeah. Great. Legendary. I will say Boo Carter has been associated with Colorado, and that is the buzz around him is that if he were to leave for any program, it would be for Colorado to be the next Travis Hunter. She also commented on her own post and said, never been a Vol fan. I'm a Boo fan. Okay. She also said they finna hate me this year because IDGAF. And she also posted, but if it was Boo, it would be all over social media. Okay, not sure what situation she's talking about. But I just think generally athlete parents being this loud on social media, like it's never going to be good for the athlete, right? Like, is there any situation in which a parent posting on social media is beneficial for the student athlete? I don't know. Where are you leaning, Robert, for the dumbest thing in sports this week?
I would either selfishly have to go with Jay slamming me for the Dookie pretzel, or I like Brian's delivery. But yesterday I made the precedent that delivery is not what matters. It is the is the submission.
It's the substance. All right, let's go with Jay.
I mean, Jay or Chris. I decided yesterday, so it's up to you.
Let's go with Jay since we ruined his lunch.
Okay.
Jay in Nashville, you're headed to the Sounds game next week. Appreciate it.
Yes,
everybody.
I'm on right now. Do you want to talk to anybody, Buck? You're on the radio.
I'm on the radio for what?
Well, you can't really even hear him. I'm going to hang up on him.
For what, he says.
For what? What do you mean? For
maybe
what?
we hear from Buck, maybe not. We will hear from Cam Ward and react to some of what he said after joint practice with the Falcons. Hour 3 is next on 104.5 The Zone.
dealer. Let's face it, buying a vehicle should be straightforward and stress-free, and that's exactly how Two Rivers Ford has been doing business for decades. This locally owned dealership has a non-commissioned sales team whose only focus is to find you the right vehicle at the right price without the pressure. So you'll actually have a fun car buying experience. Great prices, easy financing, and a non-commissioned sales team. Two Rivers Ford, the South's most trusted Ford dealer.
What's going on? Noon 03. Good afternoon from the 104.5 The Zone studios. I am Robert Walsh. Day 2 of Titans-Falcons joint camp is coming to completion today. But Brian Callahan spoke before practice and spoke about how much we could expect to see Cam Ward play in Friday's preseason game against the Falcons.
I think because he played two series last week and like to kind of continue that. I think just the game, being in the stadium and the game reps, I think is important. You know, whether or not we're playing against starters or it doesn't really matter. It's more just to be in the stadium, on the field by himself, hearing the calls, managing the clock, all those things. Just the more experience of that he gets, the better. And so as long as those starters are in there, he'll be in there. So again, probably about 2 series.
James Cook ended his holdout yesterday, and now we see why. A new deal, 4 years, $48 million extension. Once the Kyron Williams news came out of the 3-year extension for $11 million a year, it got the ball rolling. James Cook ultimately agreed to the aforementioned $12 per year on a 4-year deal plan. Something to keep an eye on as free agency churns and the Titans maintain the number 1 position in the waiver order. The Vikings have waived linebacker Brian Asamoah, a former third-round pick in 2022. While now his statistics may not be super impressive with only 30 tackles in his career, he has played in 46 total games and will be available if the Titans would like to pick him up off waivers. For all your foundation repair and your waterproofing needs, you got to go to USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Day number 2 of Titans joint practice with the Atlanta Falcons in the books. Up next, an off day tomorrow, bit of a walkthrough before preseason game number 2, Friday night at Mercedes-Benz Stadium, where we will see Cam Ward, as you just heard from Titans head coach Brian Callahan and Robert's update about 2 series for the rookie quarterback as he continues to progress through camp, and a lot of interesting stuff from Cam's meeting with the media just a few minutes ago. After the joint practice, welcome back. Final hour of the show. I'm Lucas Panzica, Robert Walsh, making it happen. We're with you until 1 o'clock. Buck will join us at his leisure, I suppose, as he shuttles back to his car and then has to drive back to the hotel.
Well, he said he had some errands to run.
Yeah, maybe go pick up a prescription.
A coffee to procure.
Little grocery run. So we'll see.
He did say he ran out of his hemorrhoid cream, so he will have to stop by a Food Line down there and grab one of those.
Well, that's important. I know he really deals with those.
Well, he's been standing all day, and now he's going to have to sit.
615-737-1045 is how you jump in. We're also on 104.5 The Zone TV, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch.
And I do have an update on the YouTube situation after we talked about it in the first hour, having 16.3.
The road to 20K.
16.4. We are less than 600 subscribers away from 17, which is 1 day closer to our ultimate goal of 20,000 subscribers, so I can get on a unicycle.
Hit that like button while you're in there. Subscribe as well. It's free to you. It's great for us, and we're gearing up for a great football season filled with great content. By the way, Charles Davis was fantastic with us earlier today in Hour 1. You can go back and check that out on the Zone Podcast Network, the Buck Rising Show, the way we like it with no Buck Rising, wherever you get your podcasts. I go back to something that Charles Davis said in that interview, Robert, asking about his impressions of Cam Ward. And he led with the phrase, built for it. Just feels like he's built for it. And I feel like I'm having to do this, like I'm having to mentally rein myself back in when I hear Cam Ward speak. Because I can't help but love the way he just conducts himself when he's evaluating himself and evaluating the football team. Now, Cam Ward has said some things that at surface level, in a vacuum, you probably wouldn't agree with. Like saying he believes the Titans have a top 5 wide receiver core in the NFL. Is that true? No. Of course it's not true. It's not true, just like Vanderbilt being a national championship contender isn't true. But if I'm a Vanderbilt fan, I love hearing my quarterback go on the Paul Feinbaum show and say the goal is to win a national championship, even if I myself know that is virtually impossible in the 2025 season. So I have no problem with Cam Ward saying that about his wide receiver core. I have no problem with Cam Ward saying that he believes the Titans offense will be a top 10 unit in 2025, even if I may think that is a huge mountain to climb for a team that was among the worst in the NFL in just about every major statistic offensively, except for one that we'll talk about later that I think could end up being this team's biggest strength once again in 2025. We'll talk about that in the upcoming segment. But the way Cam Ward handles himself when talking about his mistakes, the way he outlines the plan to improve and progress off of those mistakes, the way he is able to diagnose the things that the offense did well, the things they didn't do well, I can't help but sit there and be encouraged. Like, I'm not going to let myself run away with it and say he's going to be Rookie of the Year and that he's going to lead the Titans to Super Bowls. I don't know any of that. But I will allow myself to get very excited about Cam Ward having the right mental makeup to be this team's quarterback. How many rookie quarterbacks, Robert, do you see having that discussion about stability and the role that he's going to play in the stability that's necessary for an organization to have success when he's talking about Brian Callahan and Nick Holtz and Bo Hardigree in terms of the guys that he's surrounded by? Like, is it recency bias? Is it because I'm not watching other press conferences of rookie quarterbacks that often that I feel like he has a unique way of speaking about these things that's unusual for a player his age?
Yeah, I don't think that you would go to, say, the Giants and the Titans are in comparable positions right now, right?
Sure.
Like, far from success, needing to get back on the right track, but no one's asking Jackson Dart about these things. No one's going to Jackson Dart and being like, how do you feel having Brian Daboll, who's a accomplished play caller, somebody to help you out, having the stability around you, and do you trust the Mara family? No one's saying that to him. And I wonder if it is because they know that the stability doesn't impact him at all right now. Like, Cam Ward is the only person, or at least quarterback from this class, where stability would affect him this year. Shador, not in line to start. Jackson Dart, behind two other veterans. The only other quarterback that I think you potentially could ask this to is the New Orleans Saints rookie quarterback drafted in the second round would be Tyler Shuck,
who isn't even a surefire starter this season.
Right. He's still competing with Spencer Rattler and Jake Haener, who will be the starter.
I love how they just throw in Jake Haener in there.
Like, he's too handsome not to mention. Too handsome not to mention. But what's the old saying? Like, God gives his toughest battles to his strongest soldiers. That's why they're asking Cam about it, because he is one of the toughest soldiers. He is one of the people that is actually uniquely equipped to answer a question like that as a rookie. And that may be media training he got at Miami or having to handle playing at Washington State. But either way, it's a breath of fresh air to have someone be able to admit to their faults and then tell you how they are going to fix them.
615-737-1045 for you to chime in. Also on the F&M Bank chat, 1045 The Zone TV. On YouTube, CM says Lucas doesn't know if they will have a top 5 wide receiver room this year or not. Look, optimism is a good thing. Confidence from your franchise quarterback is a good thing. But think about what would have to happen this season for the Titans to legitimately end up with a top 5 wide receiver room in the NFL. It's great to hear that from Cam Ward, and it's great that Cam Ward has established this connection with Calvin Ridley. But what hasn't happened on a consistent basis so far in training camp is a wide receiver establishing that sort of chemistry and connection in a way that's even close to what Cam has established with Calvin Ridley. My fear for the Titans offense this year is, yes, that Calvin Ridley is their number one threat, and he should be, but that Calvin Ridley is taken out of games. And that the developmental path for Alec Iomanner, who can be a good player in this league, or Chimere Dike, who can absolutely have a role in this league, won't be fast enough to be able to overcome the amount of attention that defenses will place on Calvin Ridley. And by the way, they're facing the best defense in the NFL from the 2024 season to open the season in Denver against the Broncos on the road at Mile High Stadium. So D Squared says, the line between optimism and delusion is thin here. Again, I got no problem with the quarterback saying it. That's what I want my quarterback to say. Titans fans do not go into this season expecting to have a top 5 wide receiver room. Not trying to be the pessimist here. Like, that's what we have Buck for. But there does have to be some realism there, and the Titans will have to come up with a way to have a complementary option outside of Calvin Ridley. And that can absolutely happen. But top 5 wide receiver room, we're talking about something different. But I reiterate, I love hearing it from the quarterback. Jeremy in Nashville is up next. Hey, Jeremy.
Hey, what's going on, guys? First of all, I want to say congratulations to the radio station for that award. All you guys do a really good job, even Buck.
Thanks, buddy.
Yeah, no problem. But no, what you were saying about Cam Ward is the truth, because I'm avid about listening and calling in and keeping up with the team, and I wasn't sold on them drafting him simply because of all the holes around the team that needed to be addressed in some shape, form, or fashion. But after his comments and the way he was talking about getting up and coming to the practice to work after watching his father work a job like he did for all the time that he did, just showing up because he loves it, you can't help but get behind this guy. You want to see this guy succeed, and I'm on board with him. So is the wide receiver room top 5? No, but he's saying the right things to show the confidence in the group that's around him to try to be a leader for this team, and they desperately need that. So I believe that they made the right pick. But I'm going to get off and listen to what you guys got to say. I'll talk to y'all later.
Hey, thanks for the call, Jeremy.
Also, we haven't won any award yet.
We've not. We've
just
been nominated for the Marconi Award for Best Sports Station. For those who don't know, that's the Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, however you want to put it, for radio.
Marconi.
Yeah.
Oh. I have legitimately been saying, we got nominated for a macaroni.
No, you haven't.
Dude, that's why everyone has been looking at me and laughing. I'm serious. Like, I talked about it with Dan Mandis next door, and he won a Marconi last year.
He did. Dan is individually, Dan is a Marconi winner. Dan Mandis of Super Talk 99.7.
I remember last year when he won, I was like, hey, congrats on the macaroni. Oh, my God, I'm an idiot.
What an in real time realization by you. I can't tell if you're being serious.
No, you got to lock me in the chamber, dude. I've just I
hate you for that. We're going to hear from Titans quarterback Cam Ward. We're going to continue to take your phone calls, 615-737-1045. And there is news around the Tennessee athletic department over in Knoxville. That's next on 1045 The Zone.
Two Rivers Ford is the South's most trusted Ford dealer for a great many reasons, and they want to tell you about zero. That's right, zero, as in zero money down, zero payment for 90 days, and 0% financing for 48 months on most models. It is the Zero Summer Sales Event right now happening at Two Rivers Ford, and it is something to get excited about. At Two Rivers Ford, their salespeople don't work on commission, which means there's zero pressure when you're shopping for a vehicle. And as a Two Rivers Ford customer myself, I can tell you firsthand that at Two Rivers Ford, you'll get zero surprises because they are honest and transparent all the time. They're A-plus members of the Better Business Bureau, and they've been family-owned since 1983. What you see is what you get at Two Rivers Ford, which is why they are the South's most trusted Ford dealer. So get to Two Rivers Ford for the Zero Summer Sales Event today, because the sale ends September 2nd.
A lot to get to, only 2 more segments to do it. Titans are off the joint practice field with the Falcons. Preseason game number 2 coming up on Friday. Cam Ward meeting with the media and news out of Knoxville. Welcome back. We are fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken, the best hot chicken in the world. Doing salads now, by the way. You want a healthy option? Get some of that grilled or fried chicken, whatever spice level you like. And just 2 words, hash brown croutons. That's it.
Not hash brown.
I'm sorry, cornbread croutons. I still screwed it up.
But now, no. I think you've done something. Hash brown croutons.
Oh.
First, you intrigued me, and now you have my attention.
Where did I get hash brown croutons?
Hash brown croutons sounds awesome. That sounds like a croquette.
But you know what sounds better?
What?
Cornbread croutons.
It does.
And that's what you have on Hattie B's salads.
Go get you one today.
Download the app. You get a free dessert just by doing so. 615-737-1045. So, joint practice a little more competitive, more juice certainly than yesterday, where the Titans were the lesser team by all accounts. Cam Ward broke a lot of it down. Before we hear from the rookie quarterback, Chris Lowe of ESPN has just put out a report that we kind of anticipated, but it seems like it's about to be official. Chris Lowe tweets, Tennessee is set to announce later today that it plans to switch back to Adidas as the school's apparel provider, sources tell ESPN. The Vols have been with Nike for the last 12 years, but that deal will expire in 2026. Tennessee was with Adidas from 1995 through 2014. Back to Adidas for Tennessee athletics.
How do you feel about that? As a Tennessee fan, you more than anyone else on the show is going to be wearing those Adidas apparel. Are you excited about it? Are you worried about it?
I'm not usually the person to ask about this because anytime we have this type of discussion, remember Color Rush? What happened to Color Rush on Thursday Night Football?
It was insensitive to colorblind people because of that Bills-Jets game. Yes, it is true. If you go back and look, anyone who was colorblind that watched that game.
Don't make me look up something that you're making up.
I'm not.
Is this an Ashton Jeans thing?
This is a boy cried wolf situation where I have worked myself into a shoot with you.
Yeah, anytime you say something that just seems like it's like, could that be factual? I just assume that you're just messing with me.
No, look up. I believe it was the Bills and the Jets, and they wore red and green, and people who were colorblind were not able to see the color uniforms. It was just gray. Everything was gray, so they got rid of Color Rush.
Okay.
Are you seeing validation on this behind the Google machine?
Not yet. I'm still very skeptical.
Okay, if anyone else remembers this, and maybe it's a Berenstain Bears type thing or a Mandela effect. Maybe I'm incorrect. If you think I'm incorrect,
it's feasible.
615-737-1045. If someone else remembers this the way I remember it, but I believe that was the reason we got rid of Color Rush.
It's more feasible than Ashton Genty wearing jeans under his football pants. And
which he may have been doing in his preseason debut. 3 carries for negative 1 yard.
He looked like he was wearing jeans, which Buck actually believed when Robert told him that's why he stands straight up in the backfield, because he likes to wear jeans under his football pants.
I think next time, before he gets hooked up, if we ever want to mess with him, we should come up with a fake player and be like, what a guy I'm most worried about on this Broncos defense is Hebo McGilly, or just make up a name that he's never heard of and see if we can get him to go along with it.
Oh, he would buy into that immediately.
Okay, so
I'm telling you right now, he would roll with
no
those
one
punches.
tweeted him about this. No one DM him about this.
Make up the most ridiculous name.
But I will, tweet Buck and ask him.
Balk. He will not balk. I'm telling you. Like, if you say it with enough confidence, this man does not know enough ball to have the confidence to say that person doesn't exist.
Whenever we talk about week 1, I'll go, the defensive line of Hebo McGilly and Franco Caliendo, or I have to come up with better names, but right, we'll get him so good.
We'll workshop that. Buck's going to check in from his hotel room once he gets back there, which I'm sure he's going well under the speed limit to avoid doing. 615-737-1045. M-Boy on the F&M Bank chat says, why would they leave Nike? Talking about Tennessee. Money. The answer is money. Adidas offer substantially better than Nike's newest offer. Adidas is trying to get back in with Tennessee, and they are. And, we got into that Color Rush tangent. The reason I brought that up is because so often after Color Rush on a Thursday night, how often would you turn on sports radio or be talking to your friends, and people are on social media, and people are talking about how dreadfully ugly those Jags uniforms were, or those Bucks, or whoever uniforms were on Color Rush. I was always the guy that's like, I don't know, I thought they were fine. Like, I never have strong opinions when it comes to that. Now, I think the Nike setup for Tennessee looked a lot better than what Adidas was when they made the switch. But I am under the impression that Tennessee will have a little more control over what their uniforms will look like. And I also don't care because if there's more money involved, then that means more to put into your programs. And that also means getting better players. I think the apparel thing used to matter a lot more for the recruit coming out of high school than it does now, because now there's actual money to put in front of them. If your offer is $200,000 better than Florida's offer, it doesn't matter that Florida wears Jordan and you wear Adidas. Nobody cares. It doesn't matter that Alabama wears Nike and you wear Adidas. If they think the fit is better and the financial situation is better. So I think that side of it for the recruits matters less than ever. But I admit Nike immediately upgraded Tennessee's look. Although on the F&M Bank chat, I just lost it. I lost it. But somebody said Tennessee won a national championship when they were with Adidas. So I'm not going to complain. You could also go that route as well. All right. Before we hear from Cam Ward, 615-737-1045, let's hear from Steve in Belmead. Hey, Steve.
Hey, what's going on? Yeah, the color rush was, they said it was too monochromatic for the colorblind people, so they discontinued use of it.
Okay.
I told you.
All right.
I told you.
Thanks for the call, Steve. I don't know that you're not a plant by Robert.
Thanks,
Robert
buddy.
knows people.
Checks in the mail.
He doesn't know people in Belmead, but he knows people.
I write in the addresses, so he's not really from Belmead. It's Joseph in the back studio.
Can we hear from Cam Ward on...
maybe we want to take this from Kyle really quickly.
Okay. No,
because it's kind of... Kyle wants to talk about this from Cam.
Okay, let's hear from Kyle in Murfreesboro.
Hey, guys. Cam's starting to struggle, and it's getting me a little worried. I didn't know if they could change their mind about starting him this season and letting him ride the bench a little bit and learning and get the offense, a little bit, better grips of it, I guess you could say, until it's ready. Last thing I want to do is send a quarterback out there with this team struggling and watch him, just fall apart out there in front of us. I don't want to see that. I just wonder what y'all thoughts on it.
Yeah, thanks for the call, Kyle. In principle, I get where Kyle is coming from. I also, in the last couple of years, not just with the Titans, but across the board in the NFL, have gotten tired of seeing young quarterbacks drowning when they're simply not ready. Painfully, obviously not ready, right? Who comes to mind, Robert? Anthony Richardson. Just drowning. If anybody needed to sit, it was Anthony Richardson. But because you're in a race to get something done while a QB is still on his rookie contract, because you believe that the development will be accelerated when he's out on the field rather than on the practice field, you throw him out there. But it can be detrimental. So I get where Kyle's coming from. Titans did not set this up for that to be the case. You want Cam Ward to sit? That means Brandon Allen's your starter. That means the first sign of inefficiency, which I imagine would come quickly from the offense, would lead to shouts for Cam Ward to get in there, and it's just not a feasible situation for this team.
Yeah, and I wanted to take his call because he noted up front, I'm getting kind of worried about these interceptions at practice. Well, he was asked about that in his press conference and got to break down in three separate answers, I thought. So they really hammered the point home. Cam stayed steadfast in his answer.
What do you think that got better from yesterday to today as you go back and look at yesterday's practice and then compare it to today?
Well, I just think we made plays today on the perimeter. The quarterbacks, us three, putting the ball in a receiver's position to have him make a play for us. So I think that's the biggest difference from yesterday and today is that we were able to make plays, in the passing game. I think the running game is always going to be one of our standpoints. I think today we averaged probably 5 to 6 yards a pop every time we handed off to the backs. And I just think the O-line just brought the physicality even more than what they did yesterday.
What do you think when the ball leaves your hand and you realize you didn't put it out of bounds and the DB's got a chance there on that throwaway?
Really just pain. So that's my first time doing it, so can't make it happen again. I mean, I'd rather do it in the practice, do it in the game, so I really don't even trip about it. The only thing you can do is throw it hard out of bounds or just throw it straight at their head coach or something.
That happened in the game last week. It didn't get picked off, but it didn't make it to the sideline. I know you rarely make the same mistake twice, so what was it that, allowed it to happen today?
Just not putting enough on it. Even when I throw on my back foot, I got to know to put more on it. And then just continuously learn the new rules. I don't really have to throw it far out of bounds. I can throw it right at the yard line marker and dirty right out of bounds. So just continue to just learn the new nuances of the NFL, knowing how to throw it away or when I need to throw it away, then also just put more on it.
That's Cam Ward meeting with Titans media after joint practice today.
I thought that was real as hell, though. It's like, what'd you feel after throwing that? Just pain.
Just pain, yeah.
He just
the way it's just very deadpan, right?
Really just pain.
I got to save that for a heartbreaker. What did you feel after throwing that interception?
Yeah. When if the Ravens lose on Sunday Night Football, we open up the show Monday, and me or Bucks. All right, Robert, how do you feel about your football team?
Really just pain.
Just pain.
Just taking sad baths all weekend.
Joey Aguilar's first interception against Syracuse, Week 1. Tennessee fans.
Really just pain.
Speaking of that Syracuse game, 104.5 The Zone's college football kickoff is Friday, August 29th, the day before that Week 1 kickoff in Atlanta between Vols and Orange. And we're broadcasting live at Yazoo Brewing Company in Madison. Again, Friday, August 29th. Robert and I will be there. Blaine and Zach will be there. The 3HL crew will be there. And while you're there, you can sign up for a chance to win Tennessee football season tickets and more, plus free kickoff T-shirts, glasses, and other prizes for the first 250 people that show up. To learn more, visit 1045thezone.com/events. Come out and see us at Yazoo Brewing Company in Madison. Can't wait. College football right around the corner. Oh, man, one more Saturday without it. Week 0 next week.
The best part about it is you guys can drink there. We are not allowed to until we get off the air.
Yeah, speak for yourself. I got things to do. 615-737-1045. So to go back to the caller, Kyle, who expressed some concern, I understand where he's coming from, but I almost think, Robert, it would be more concerning to not see these type of moments, right? Because if Cam Ward was just rolling through training camp right now and was just dicing up every defense that got thrown at him, I think my thoughts would immediately go to either something's wrong here, this is too good to be true, or something is seriously wrong with the Titans defense that he's going up against. I don't think the Titans defense is going to be a high-level defense in 2025. But Cody Barton and that Titans defense had Cam's number in the early portion of training camp because he's a rookie and he's supposed to make these mistakes. Where you should be encouraged, Kyle, is the response. Every time. Early interception to Hassan Reddick in Bucks joint practice last Thursday. Bounces back to have arguably the best period of red zone team drills they've had all season. 3 and out to start things off on Saturday night against the Buccaneers. Maybe bails from the pocket too early, the throwaway on that first drive. Second drive out, settles in. Long 11-play drive, finished by a touchdown run with Tony Pollard, where he had some chunk plays in the air. Bad joint practice yesterday. For Cam Ward, for the Titans defense, for everybody in Flowery Branch. Balls tipped at the line of scrimmage. Interceptions. Bounces back today, finding solutions with a deep ball touchdown to Calvin Ridley. By all accounts, a good red zone team drill period for Cam Ward and the first team offense. So I understand you want every practice update to be, oh my God, this quarterback has got it. He's going to be unstoppable in 2025. It's not a realistic proposition for this season. The reality is this is not going to be smooth sailing for Cam Ward this year. It's just not. But you have to be encouraged at the way he's just taken ownership of the offense, taken ownership of what his mistakes are, his ability to diagnose his mistakes, what he needs to do better the next time, and the way he's able to regurgitate talking points from the coaching staff, Robert. That in and of itself puts me in such a better headspace about the Titans quarterback position. Understanding that doesn't give you a pass rusher. What did Charles Davis say? Titans don't have a pass rusher right now that another team has to account for. They just don't. They don't have a single player coming off the edge that an opposing offensive coordinator in a team meeting room or an offensive line coach has to circle on a board during game planning meetings for the Titans game. Cam Ward can't change that. So those deficiencies will still be there. Those bumps in the road are still going to be there this season. But to watch Cam Ward progress throughout the course of the year is what is going to give this season meaning for Titans fans. And I do think that is going to be a fun thread to follow in 2025. That's the feeling I have watching Cam Ward in the practices I've watched. Obviously, we're not at joint practice, but hearing Cam Ward handle himself when he's reacting to these practices. Because he's the same guy after everything. He's the same dude. And that's encouraging to see from your rookie quarterback. 615-737-1045 is how you jump in. So Buck is en route back to his hotel room.
That is the bad news.
Oh?
I have the good news.
Okay.
My AC, after 6 days,
Hey!
has supposedly been fixed.
All right.
No longer will I have to do prime time, do my busy work, stay in my office in 88-degree heat. If I get home, though, and I realize that AC is not fixed, I'm going to raise all kinds of hell. I may just move out. I may move in with you. I may move in with Buck. I may move in Buck's backyard. But the good news is the AC is fixed. Bad news is Buck should be attaching at any moment.
Why didn't you just go to sleep at Buck's house?
Well, I'm not saying that I didn't do that, but I need plausible deniability that I did, in fact, not do that. So when Buck gets home and all his cat food is gone, that was not me.
Steven on the FNM Bank chat says, leave it to Buck to find a way to skip out on his own show. We'll force him back on begrudgingly to tell us something about what he saw from Titans joint practice in Atlanta coming up next.
How quickly does a generator kick in after the power goes out? About 15 seconds, just enough time for you to realize that the power is out, and then it's right back on. You don't have to do a thing. That kind of reliability brings real peace of mind. And a Generac home standby generator from Premier Generators is quieter than most people expect, about 65 decibels, similar to a lawn mower in the far distance. Premier Generators is there to make sure that you are prepared for whatever comes your way, and that can be any number of things. Certainly, if you live in the Middle Tennessee area, you want to make sure that you are power outage ready, and Premier Generators is here to help you do exactly that. There's no guesswork, and they are going to stress over the details so you don't have to. With a free 10-year warranty, what more could you ask for? Call Premier Generators today for your appointment so you can be power outage ready. Like I said, that's 855-POWER is on. 855-PWR is on, or go to their website at premiergenerators.com.
Last call for phone calls. We'll get ready to update the polls, wrap things up, and get you to cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and me. I'll be filling in for Zach today and tomorrow. We're forcing Buck to stick around today as well at 1:20. 615-737-1045 is how you jump in. As Buck, at his leisure, checks in from his hotel room in Flowery Branch. Hello. How was the ride back? Was it nice and smooth? Going below the speed limit, I'm sure.
Listen, it's not at my leisure. It's at your damn quarterback's.
Yeah, it took a minute. It took a minute.
He's got to go, do his post-practice routine. Got to go get a lift in. That's fine. We do the press conference, and it's not even about the Cam Ward thing. It's about the Falcons setup. The Falcons setup is such a logistical cluster bleep. I've never been on so many shuttles, public shuttles, in my life. I feel disgusting.
So is this what their media does every single, not that people care, but every practice? Is their media taking a shuttle to every joint in every training camp?
If they're open to fans, Lucas, I think so, because, I got there at 8:30 today because you're right, I was late yesterday because I tried the thing that I normally try, which didn't work in my favor, and today I was not going to risk Atlanta traffic. And the first lot that anybody parks in was full of fans. I was not aware that the Falcons had this many fans.
And he's gone. All right. Great stuff there from Buck as he wraps up joint practice with the Falcons. A lot to take away. I don't know where to begin.
Just make a noise when you think you're back, Buck.
I mean, I'm back. I hate this because, yesterday, we were doing a bunch of different bits, and, I kept going bits, and I just come back in the middle of it. I don't know what's going on. It makes me insane.
Yeah, this must be how my grandpa felt. It's I don't know who these people are. Get away from me.
When he's losing it. No,
stop it. It's I don't know what we're
I can't tell. It's just me talking in my own ear. And then the two of you are like, oh, I guess he's gone. No, I'm here.
I guess he's gone. No, I'm still here. I'm your grandfather. I did want to ask you something about your own well-being, Buck. Last night on Primetime, you noted you brought your own groceries. You brought your own tomato, cottage cheese. I'm noticing your tomato is still back there. Were you not able to eat your tomato and cottage cheese this morning?
No, I ate the tomato. I brought 2 tomatoes.
Two tomatoes for the road. No, Annie's gone again. God, come on, man. We can't keep doing this.
I mean,
that's not true. Damn it. Right here.
So Cam Ward, he did his post-practice routine. He got a lift in before he met with the media. If I was the quarterback, I would just want to get it over with, man. I would just after practice, let me just do this so I can do the important stuff. But no worries. We got some good stuff from the rookie. All right, let's just start with practice, though. Sounds like a better day from yesterday, a more competitive, if that just means pushing and shoving multiple times. But overall, what are your takeaways today compared to what you saw yesterday?
Better, but not good. And there's reasons for that. They don't know what Raheem Morris is going to throw at them. They don't know what Jeff Ulbricht's going to throw at them. So they're doing this on a fly. And in the same way that they spent the past month figuring each other out, well, now they've spent 2 days figuring out what the Falcons are going to throw at them. So Calvin Ridley was walking off the field at the end of the practice, and he's sitting there talking about well, we won the practice today. Make sure y'all write that, this, that, and the other. And Calvin, Calvin's been fine. But the rest of it, it's clunky. Turns out the Titans' depth corners stink. That's going to be a problem. They, if you're rooting against or not interested in L'Jarius Sneed, you may just want to pray and hope and wish that he gets back because they need him in the worst way. They are a bad secondary objectively without him, and they may be bad with him, but at least he gives them a chance. And they did not stand a chance against Drake London today. Again.
So offensively, it sounds like there were improvements. Defensively, did it feel like more of the same? If anything, it looked like there was more of an edge there from the defense, but in terms of the actual results, was it kind of a continuation of Tuesday's practice?
Yeah, I mean, I think if the pass rush was allowed to actually get home, they would have gotten home more often today. Okay. So that's a positive in that direction. But the pushing and shoving and stuff like that. I talked to Cedric Gray after practice, and my question was can you still be productive if your practice is being disrupted 3 and 4? And I mean, I think it was no more than 4 different instances of pushing and shoving specifically on defense. There was a special teams dust up as well, which got a little chippy between Van Jefferson and James Prochet, and I can't remember the name of the Falcons special teams player, but
wasn't it the Vandy grad?
Oh yeah, the Vandy. Is it Quincy something?
Skinner,
I think his name is. Quincy Skinner, that sounds right. I don't have my roster in front of me. But, yeah, I mean, if you're playing with edge, that's one thing. But if you're pushing and shoving because you're getting your ass kicked, like, I mean, who does that look good on? You know what I'm saying? And that's just kind of what I felt about the Titans' defense today, especially like the back end. Like, they're just getting torn up by Michael Penix and Drake London. And listen, Drake London's a good player. Like, he's a good player. Bijan Robinson, a good player. Kyle Pitts theoretically should be a good player. I don't know if we would quite call him a good NFL tight end, given the high hopes that everybody had for him coming out of Florida. But it's one thing to play with an edge. It's another one to kind of throw a tantrum a little bit because you're just tired of getting beat. And I don't know where that line was today, but I don't know. They're a lesser football team, and that's what these 2 weeks of joint camp practice have shown us. And listen, that's a measuring stick for everybody who wants reasonable expectations. You want expectations? Okay, you saw 2 teams that figure to be competing, at least for one postseason spot out of the NFC South, and you're worse than both of them. All right, so you watch the tape, you improve, you see where you need to get better, you see what's reasonable within the bounds of personnel, and you go from there.
Yeah, I think for Titans fans, we talked about this at the start of the show. Early on in training camp, it's all good vibes, right? Football's back. You're seeing your rookie quarterback on the field. You have the best case scenario in mind. It's nothing but optimism. And then when the joint practices come about and you kind of see the Titans stacked up with, like you said, 2 teams that have the goal of winning the NFC South this year, that slow realization of what we already knew, but maybe for fans kind of put in the back of their mind a little bit at the start of camp, creeps back in that, oh, yeah, this team has a lot of deficiencies. And that's okay because we knew that going in, and it's about the quarterback. And as long as the quarterback is making progress and they're improving in certain areas, you can feel good about where they are right now, understanding where they are big picture, right? And it sounds like Cam Ward is incrementally making that type of progress. If anything, Beck, it's just refreshing to hear him speak about that progress and about the mistakes he is making and diagnosing how he can improve from those mistakes like he did today.
Did you just call me Beck as in the folk singer Beck?
Maybe. Did I? What are you deflecting?
You've been talking too much.
All right, Grandpa. It's okay. It's okay. Let's get him a lap blanket.
Grandpa thinks his name is Beck.
Lap blanket. That's listen. Grandpa doesn't know what's going on. This is too much. This is too much of a road trip. Listen, the quarterback is not my concern. I mean, he is my concern, but like of the things that are concerning about the competitiveness of the football team, I'm not worried about Cam Ward. Like Cam Ward is going to incrementally improve, and as long as the offensive line is stable in front of him, that's good. What you guys? How did the audience react? Would you say to Cam Ward's press conference? Because I thought that's as informative or as
he's gone. Yeah, but I do agree with what he's saying there,
Grandpa.
I do think like so far, and I think we've got you back. But I agree with you. Like,
you do.
Positive reactions. There was one caller that said he's concerned seeing, hearing about the mistakes Cam Ward's making in camp. But overall, I think it's just refreshing. I think Titans fans are refreshed to hear their quarterback taking ownership of the situation, of the offense, and talking about things like stability for a franchise and the long-term importance of that to his success. Things that you just don't typically hear from a rookie quarterback.
He's not your typical rookie. I mean, I think he's wise beyond his years. I think he's very mature. I think he's unbothered. And I think those are all of the opposite characters. Is at least refreshing in that aspect.
All right. Figure out your connection, Beck, so we can get you down for that 120 segment coming up with Blaine.
Or else we're going to call you a loser.
I can't. I mean, literally, I don't know what more could possibly be done here. I've done all the things that I was doing in Tampa. It just must be Buford, Georgia.
I know what we're bumping back to in that 120 segment coming up. Let's do some polls.
Don't be alarmed by the helicopter noises, Grandpa.
Presented by Two Rivers Ford, the South's most trusted Ford dealer. What is the dumbest thing in sports this week? I had John Mateer's Venmo Gate scandal. Robert, what was remind me your submission?
It was the hot dookie pretzel.
Oh, that's right. The turd pretzel that the Colts are rolling out there. Buck, you got one?
Did you see what he tweeted about that, by the way, Robert?
Yes, I saw what Robert tweeted. Yes.
Dude, you're telling me it wouldn't feel good to let a dookie loose like that?
A pretzel shape.
I've never eaten anything in my life that would cause me to produce something like that.
You haven't had a fibrous meal, like maybe a large salad, some Metamucil?
Buddy, that's the size of like 3 foot of intestine. What are you eating that's causing you to produce something the size of an elephant does?
He's saying what it would. What's your dumbest thing in sports this week?
I'll send you some pics this weekend.
My connection is the dumbest thing in sports this week.
Oh, he's perturbed. It's okay.
I am bothered as hell by this.
We didn't even get to this. Maybe we do it tomorrow. What will be the Titans' biggest strength in 2025? 42.9%. We just went position groups here. Now, there aren't a lot to choose from. Like, we can't put edge in there, right? Probably should have put linebacker in there. Did not. But most of the audience voted offensive line. How about that?
I'll believe it when I see it.
Hey, Buck, while you're out there tomorrow, while we're talking about strength and connectivity, can we get the audio levels correct for the press conferences? Do you think that is something that's doable?
That's beyond my purview.
You talk to all these people. You have to drink with all these people. Just talk to them. Just say something. Be like, hey, maybe not so hot tomorrow.
Is it bad?
Not so hot? You mean Cam Ward was too hot?
No, Brian Callahan.
Oh, well, he's just trying to inspire his team, galvanize the troops, 10 straight days on a row.
No, he's talking about the modulation on the press conference audio, but it's fine. We'll talk about it later. Is it weird? Is it weird? I feel like strangely good about the Titans' offensive line right now. Talk about it another day. Which SEC team is the most likely national champion between Bama, Georgia, Texas, LSU? Unsurprisingly, 64.6% are going Texas. Then it goes Georgia, then LSU, then Bama at the bottom. I'd put Bama second, to be honest. But Texas probably is the number one answer.
Well, and Georgia's more fraught than they've ever been, so I'm surprised. Maybe people are just, drinking the Kirby Smart Kool-Aid and giving him benefit of the doubt. I'd assume that's what
I'm giving him benefit of the doubt to figure out some of the things that they were uncharacteristically bad at last year. And the wide receiver position has a chance to be as good as it's been in the Kirby Smart era. A lot of it will fall on Gunnar Stockton. But coming off a down year in which they won the SEC championship, we'll see what Georgia looks like. What is the best concession that you can find at a football game? V-Love, our guy, I ran into V-Love, by the way, last Friday. Great to see him. Said tendies plus fries with honey mustard. I'm not a honey mustard guy, I must admit. But chicken tenders are a pretty common answer here with this poll question.
What was the prompt again?
The best concession food to get at a football game?
Oh.
The answer is popcorn. The correct answer is popcorn.
No, popcorn kernels get stuck in my gums and behind my teeth. Popcorn drives me crazy.
I love popcorn. Tyler says the empanadas at Geodis Park.
We know you love popcorn. You have choked to death on it anytime I'm there to bail you out so you have time to eat. That's probably why you're most pissed about my connection. You can't eat.
What's the worst concession food at a football game? Tyler says the Colts Turdzle. Talking about the pretzel. And those are the polls, and that's the show. Buck will stick around. We'll hear from him at 1:20 coming up on Cover 2.
Are you sure? Am I going to make it? Am I going to be connected for 20 minutes?
Stay tuned to find out. I'll be hanging out with Blaine until 3 o'clock, and we'll continue to break down everything from Atlanta. See you guys.